All right, I think we're live. Holy crap. We didn't have an intro. I think I turned it off, but welcome to 24/7 Comics Live. We are launching Evermind today, the complete collection. And to join me today, we have a very special guest and also our creative director, Mr. Swagglehouse himself.
Going on? Here we are, another Kickstarter. Let's get it going.
Another one. And this one's special because at 24/7 Comics, I think one of the biggest kind of parameters surrounding our stories were timeless stories, the creator's best work. And most of all, I hate ongoing stuff. And so one of the most important things for me personally is just having like classics that you could reread over and over again. And so the 6-issue arc has always been something we committed to. And this will, in turn, be our very first 6-issue arc in completion.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a milestone moment. I mean, I feel like even for you in showing me, the titles that you've been working with at 24/7 and introducing me to it, Evermind was the first one, that I also saw,
Yeah.
especially Sean's first image of Brittany and Bobo. So that's definitely something that feels like a full circle moment, and it's cool to get to this place, and it's a milestone for Sean, of course, but also for 24/7.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, Mickey, you've been here since day one. Someone who's joined us more recently in the last year has been our executive editor, Terry Kavanaugh. So, let's welcome Terry to the
Hello,
group as
folks.
well.
Hello,
How you doing,
everyone.
Terry?
Good. How about you guys?
Woo! Been a long weekend, but I think it's going to be well worth it. We are super excited about this launch. Completion of an arc. You've had your hands in it now for the second half of the series. How are you feeling about it all?
Oh, I'm very excited about it. And I said a similar thing about Heroes Be Damned, but I'm always a little wary when the writer and artist are the same person because I worry that the writer in them will take shortcuts that the artist will have to pick up, or vice versa. Not the case at all with Sean's work. Really been brilliant. I mean, his writing is as strong and dynamic as his art has always been.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. I mean, it's it's almost like a little dream come true. Someone I've watched as a early teenager, I think, when I bought his book, Ryan the Future Force. I think number 9, we sold like 900,000 copies, and so he was, Sean the superstar at Valiant, and so it's just really a bit of a dream come true to work with someone like Sean. And speaking of dreams come true, I mean, one of the things as a kid in childhood, really working at entertainment, and one of the ongoing friend and partner has been Mr. Daniel Wu himself. What's up, Daniel?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hello.
How you feeling, man?
Good. Super excited for this.
Well, for those of you who don't know, it was Daniel's birthday last week, so he was able to head off this weekend and celebrate. So happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Oh, we just lost him as well. But I'm
There
sure
we go.
Cool.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about my birthday.
It's all good. You look exactly the same as when we met 25 years ago. And so you're blessed in that way. Now, so the next person to introduce is Mr. Sean Chen himself, your co-creative partner and writer to the series, Evermind.
What's up, John?
How's it going? Hey, Daniel. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I never really thought I'd see this day because this is my first writing gig. And it was 6 issues, which actually put all together is because each of the issues are really bloated. It's really 9 issues. So it's a lot of writing and a lot of drawing, and it's all like very difficult sci-fi robot stuff. So I actually didn't think I would finish it, but it's good to be on the launch stream that kind of collects all of them together in a finished product. And I'm really excited for it, but I never really thought I would see this day because it was just such a long, dark tunnel. Even though it's fun, but I mean, making comics is still a lot of work. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that it's finally launching, and I can finally put it behind me. So
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say you're putting it behind you, but it's a journey ahead. There's a lot of announcements, a lot happening. And for those of you who are tuning in now, we have our QR code up here. It's a new little StreamYard thing where you can actually scan the QR code. And where will the QR code bring you? It will bring you to this page right here, which is the campaign that lesson learned from our last one is we launched it earlier this time because sometimes there's hiccups at Kickstarter. And wow, like before we even shared it, we're at 2464 now.
Wow.
And about 25% towards our goal. So pretty excited, folks. QR code above covering my face right now. You could scan that or tell a friend, and we'll be streaming for the next few hours with some special guests here. But before we do that, before we bring on special guests, we're gonna showcase the trailer that Mr. Mickey finished. Had involved with. Let's take a look.
Every invention begins with hope. It's a promise of a better future. I once held that future in my hands, but it was taken from me. The line between man and machine has faded. What was once an innovation is now a weapon, and I will turn it against them. Because my curse is theirs too. My invention is no longer about legacy. It's about her, about us. And our future is in our hands.
Hey everyone, Daniel Wu here. When Sean Chen and I first started Evermind, it was more than just a story about science and machines. It was about family, legacy, and what it means to stay human in a world that's changing faster than ever. Making this comic has reminded me why I fell in love with storytelling in the first place. And now we're finishing that journey, but we can't do it without you. Your pledge today powers the print run that gets Evermind into comic shops next year and keeps stories like this alive for future readers. Thank you for your support, and let's finish this together.
Yeah. Woo!
That was great.
Great work.
Yeah.
Mickey, Daniel, what a collaboration.
You know, just always nice to have someone like Daniel, you know, deliver some lines that you write. I feel like it makes it so much better because there was a moment when I was working on it where, you know, I had to do the temp VL, and you know, it usually I'm always like, oh yeah, I think that this will work, but then Daniel, you know, when you do it, it brings it together for sure.
Thanks for all the hard work, Mickey.
Yeah, it's been fun. And while we're here too, we're gonna add another team member to the stage. Francis Stokes. What's up, Francis? Oh, his sound may not be in, but
Hey, there we go.
Francis,
Hey, how's it going?
Francis is our campaign manager for this campaign. So you guys may notice this campaign looks a little different than previous campaigns, and it's because Francis I met during the Kickstarter panel at San Diego Comic-Con. We have a lot of alignment in everything that we do, and he decided to come on board and help us with this. So Francis, what's up, man? How you feeling? We've been working hard.
Yes, I was up late last night. I'm going to be muting myself whenever I'm not talking. I'm in a cafe. I got a nice message from Spectrum this morning that our internet was going to be having maintenance, so I had to rush out to find somewhere I could reliably stream from.
Of course, message from Spectrum this morning. Yesterday, we got a message from Kickstarter that they are, on strike since last Thursday. We are supportive of all the team members at Kickstarter. We believe in fair, equitable treatment for staff members. So we wish you luck. And yeah, we're here. We're still launching. And speaking of still launching, I have a friend that we met recently in the last few months. She's gaining a lot of momentum in the comic book literature side, and has been present at all the freaking conventions. So looking forward to catching up at New York Comic-Con. Tiffany Lay, what's up? I think you're
Tiffany.
Hello.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe familiar for videos. She's done great coverage for what we're doing here, and she will continue doing coverage with us as a guest here today, as well as just to add to the dialogue.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Tiffany.
How are you feeling, Tiffany? Are you excited about New York Comic-Con?
Sorry?
Are you excited about New York Comic-Con?
Yeah, I haven't packed yet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
on it.
Everything is like last minute. It's gonna be exciting though. There's like so much going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, speaking of so much going on, I think I have a little slide deck that Jane prepared for us today. I think you guys have met our creators here today. Sean Chen, there you go, with his Iron Man. Daniel Wu, Into the Badlands, and the right is what, Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
There we go. And also this is Daniel's mullet days.
I was gonna say something about that.
And then, so I think one of the things I'd love for everyone to react on is the covers that Sean worked on for this campaign. I mean, Sean, you want to preview us a little bit?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna start with number one. Yeah, I was a little bit worried about number one. You had this crazy idea where we're going to do a gatefold cover, so we draw on both sides.
Let me move you to the other slide then. Here, if you're gonna do, there you
go. Okay, so yeah, these gatefold covers. I mean, and they also try to sum up the whole story, so it ends up being very packed. And I don't know if that was the wisest cover to do because it really just. I think there's like a little bit of a burden when people come to these projects. Whatever funnel they come through to get to it, they think, well, okay, it's sci-fi, so it's probably gonna be a lot of exposition and stuff. And you look at that cover and it's like, oh boy, it's a lot to get into. But for the people who do actually open up and read it, you find that it's actually you can follow along quite easily. But this cover had everything and the kitchen sink in it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think wanted to showcase the line art today as well. Obviously, when you see the colors is one thing, but I think the masterpiece of the line art says a lot.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Terry, any thoughts?
In the middle to divide the dark side and the all the things that Neuralink could be used for the dark side on the left, and on the right you see them as they were before, and the idealized vision of Bobo World.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I hadn't seen this piece before. I love it.
Sean, how long did it take you to sketch this?
Oh, I think from beginning to end, this was like a week-long thing. Yeah, there was just a lot of elements to it. I think we did one more cover that was gatefold, and after that I said no more of this because we really need like a cover that has like a central focus to it. Because when you have a gatefold cover, half the cover is on the other side, so you end up having split focus type things. When you spread it out, it's a little bit overwhelming. But yeah, this took an entire week to do, and I was very busy on the book, and then I'm not the fastest artist, so this is one of the more challenging ones I had to do.
I think it's interesting that you were working on the storyline while drawing this because it kind of encapsulates everything, like it summarizes the whole story in one piece. It's kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Here's the color version, folks. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's stunning.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Speaking of beautiful, I'm gonna jump back and forth today between our slides and our Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to remove this here, and then I'm gonna show that we are now at 3,000 already within the first 15 minutes.
Wow.
Nice.
Very cool.
So what's been fun is this campaign is very different. We have a lot of people in the community now. When we launched around this time in 2023, 2 years ago, we didn't really know anybody in the community. And now, we have guys like Gareth Seamus, who's the founder of Wizard Magazine, who literally said, Evermind is Sean's ultimate masterpiece, his magnum opus. Don't miss it. I mean, for those of you who know what Wizard Magazine is, that's a huge quote coming from someone like Gareth.
And Gareb doesn't really like to BS. He wouldn't say that otherwise.
Yeah, and for those of you who are tuning in today, right now, we have day one backer specials, a ton of them. So, I mean, Francis, any highlights? What are your favorites? I mean, you created like 50 tiers your own hands. So,
right. I mean, I feel like the signed print is the big one in my mind. That's such an amazing thing to be able to get just for backing in the first 2 days. That I think is really cool. And then for people who are into the digital collectibles, our collaboration with Vivi is we have some really cool stuff that we're offering through that. The digital version of Evermind 4 Gold, and then the the Mech Bobo toy, which you can use virtually to pose with on your socials. And so I feel like we're offering a lot. And then we have our Forever Thank You thing that 24/7 Comics always offers with every campaign for day one backers. I think it's really great.
In fact, last year, the regular Bobo was a hit. Was it last year or the year before? I don't remember. But one of the New York Comic Con years, we sold the furry Bobo as a 3D toy, and that thing sold out in like seconds, and was fetching like secondary prices of like $1,000 in the digital market. So that was crazy. Another quote from Gareth Sheamus. Sean Chen redefined Marvel heroes like Iron Man, Wolverine, was meticulous style and skill at putting story and emotion first, making him a hugely influential creative force in comics. Damn. Sean, Gareth loves you.
Well, I hope to meet him one day. No, he's a great guy. Yeah, he's actually on the forefront of technology and pop culture. So he has a lot of cool ideas, and I think you have to kind of watch what he's doing because he's really going places with like digital collectibles and stuff.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of quotes, there's Daniel's photo, and then Terry, you put a quote as well. Sean Chen's writing is as dynamic and compelling as this. Art has always been. The intrigue and action builds with every issue. You got to see a preview. You want to give folks a little bit of a preview as to what you mean by every issue?
Yeah.
Oh, did you get that, Terry?
Yes. Wait, sorry.
Yeah, you had a little quote that said, John Chen's writing is as dynamic and compelling as his art has always been. The intrigue and action builds with every issue. What do you mean by that, every issue? Well, what?
Because I've read the first 3 issues and the 4th, and we're working on the 5th and 6th, and I just think he developed the characters very strongly and then dove into the story, which is the best way to approach anything. Nobody cares about a story if they don't care about the characters.
Yep, completely agree. And then Francis, I think back to you.
Let's talk about this giveaway. This is something we're basically revealing right now for the first time. Meaning we haven't posted about this at all on socials ahead of time. But this is a really big thing, which is that everybody who backs the campaign up until Wednesday the 29th. Wednesday the 29th is when we're going to do the drawing. Gets to participate automatically in this giveaway. And we have some really amazing things that we are giving away and it's for everybody who backs it gets a shot at it. But for people who back on day one, you get basically double. And then we're also going to double it for every Wednesday leading up to Wednesday the 29th when we do the announcement. I'm sorry, as you know, I'm in a cafe.
No worries.
Noise by me, yeah. So I can't see it well enough on the stream, but I'm going to scroll down on the actual thing. And so the big prize, of course, is first place, and that's going to be a slabbed copy of Evermind 1 that's been signed. That's from Carl's personal collection, along with the giveaway came about because we're collaborating with DGC, which is a company that's doing digital slabs, of digital copies to preserve digital copies in a sort of like virtual version of what CGC does with comics. And so they have a digital version of Evermind 1 that, when it was first released, that's going to be signed, and that they're going to use their process to slab it, preserve it, and at a 10.0. So they use a slightly different grading system for obvious reasons. If you have a digital copy, you're not thumbing through it and causing creases or whatever, but it has to do with when it was released. If it's normally these sort of digital copies are numbered and all that. And so this is one that was released very early because it's been graded at a 10. Meanwhile, CGC graded the slabbed Evermind 1 that we have for first place at 9.8. So that's a really amazing first prize. Anybody who participates gets a shot at. First day one, you get 2 shots at it. Every Wednesday, you get 2 shots at it. So then we also have 2 more prizes. Also coming from the 24/7 Comics Vault, we have a slab copy of Evermind 1, the black and white artist edition, graded 9.8. That's unsigned. And then third place is a slab copy of Evermind 1 that's unsigned, but also graded 9.8. So all that you get in addition to your rewards just for backing the campaign. There they are.
There you go.
Collection.
The second and third are here in my personal collection, and then I can't take credit for all the extra signed copies because Mary had the foresight to think, hey, I think we're gonna need some extra ones from our signing event, so we submitted those extra ones to CGC, and we have them in our vault. And so thanks to Mary, our team member who was there to set up our signing event. Now that we have prizes to give away.
And now we're giving one to you. Exactly. And so every Wednesday throughout the campaign, we're doing something we're calling Wednesday Wins, where we're going to unlock a add-on. It's going to be specially priced that day. Then it'll go to a regular price after that. And that's going to coincide with every Wednesday. You back on those days, you get double your raffle tickets. So just one more perk for backing the Evermind full series campaign.
Great idea, Francis. Great campaign. Appreciate you. Wanted to just highlight some of our friends. Cameron, Mr. Hamilton himself, just backed it. Thank you very much. Mr. G. Lee, thank you very much as well. Thank you for backing and support. All right, let's get back to the art, guys. Sean.
Maybe we should work on a Bobo Labubu.
Labobo.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, we gotta get Labobo in Pop Mart.
It's sort of screaming for it, really.
I like the idea. Daniel just called it the Labobo. That's pretty cool.
Labobo in Pop Mart.
That's sick. Yeah, we should definitely do that. There we go. We got endorsed by Mary as well. Labobo. All right. Let's back to talking about art. So Sean did mention.
I would love to see this as a poster. I just think this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I swear I had one.
Making the Labubus. We should make a poster of this.
Yeah, Tom printed it for us, and I have no idea where it is. I think I brought it to the signing, and hopefully I didn't leave it there. But all right, Sean, you said these gatefold covers almost killed you. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of work because of the real estate of the page is quite a lot, and this subject is very technical. But I think one of the things that I didn't get into about gatefolds is that it kind of splits your attention into two parts. So you always have to have one focus on one side and one on the other side. Yeah. And so you end up having this little empty spot in the middle. But this is, we wanted to show what happens. This is the area called Underworld, where there's the theme park above, where you have the mascots and princesses like they would at Disney, and then down below, they kind of change their attire and then do the adult entertainment stuff. So this is kind of them like mid-change, and I mean this cover didn't have to be that intricate, but it's kind of like what I do is draw a lot of detail, and I mean I think this is one of my favorite ones because it just shows a lot of cool imagery, and when we came up with this story, one of the things that when you're like a writer that's also the artist, you only write stuff that's interesting to look at. So that's kind of, I think this kind of shows that off.
I have a question for you, Sean. Being invested in the story, being the writer of the story, how different is it to draw the cover than it is to just draw the cover for something that you haven't written? Like, what are you thinking when you're, it's obviously you're taking hours and hours to draw these things, right? And when you're drawing for someone else, you're relying on just the amount of information that they've given you about the story and blah, blah, blah. But as the creator who knows every nuance about each character, how does that inform you when you're drawing a cover like this? Like, does it take longer just because you know more? Or are you thinking of more things when you're drawing, or storylines coming up while you're drawing that make you want to change the story? Like, how different is it for you to do a cover like this that you're involved in versus just doing a cover for someone else?
Well, I do quite a bit of covers for other companies.
Yeah.
And the problem there is like you have to sum up an entire story. A lot of times these days they want you just to do an iconic image, and that's kind of a good thing to kind of point out is that you're not really bound to what's happening in the story. So you make like the most iconic visual image possible, and that gives you a lot of freedom. But me being the person that wrote this story, it's a little bit strange because I know like what happens in the story, and like I can't really lie on the cover, so it does kind of constrain you a bit. I know when I'm asked to do a cover, I tell them to send me the script, and I try to read what came before to kind of just do my best job. But a lot of times artists, and even some of the artists that did some of these variants for us, they're like, don't show me everything. Just tell me what you want me to draw, because you kind of want to get in and out of it as quickly as possible, because you can go down a rabbit hole forever trying to come up with a perfect image. So I kind of come to these covers with all that knowledge already, so I kind of know how everything looks.
So how did you know what would be your anchor? Because I really like how there isn't like a focal point, but I like how it's like offside a little bit, so your eye likes to wander throughout and then pick up the details.
I think in the first one we kind of showcased the gorilla robot, so I wanted to show the female robots because there's really only two robots that are really featured heavily in the story. It's that classic Marilyn Monroe pose, except that she's a robot, and then you can kind of see like it's not only her clothes are coming off, but her skin is too. So I just thought that was like a really interesting image because it was a little bit creepy, but also like very like sexually charged. And then I made that that would be the front cover. So and then the gorilla will appear on the back. So yeah, it's basically try to figure out what the subject matter is and try to show it in the best light.
Works.
It does.
Well, yeah, and I also think that the dualities of the front cover, back cover also allow you to express the dualities of the characters as well. So it's really kind of a cool feature.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Did we lose Carl?
Did we lose Carl? What's going?
Sorry, I was speaking. So, yeah, after this Gateful cover, Sean did call me and said, "I can't do this anymore. It's killing me." And so, all right, let's just go with a regular cover. And I thought it was a very genius move because I didn't have the foresight, but what was important is we always need like a cover for the volume one, and we wouldn't have had that because with volume you can't really like do gatefold covers. So Sean went with this for issue number 3.
Nice.
Yeah, you can kind of see everything's kind of right down the center, and it gives you like a focal point. And then you can, I'll say that it kind of got me to lay off the background so much because I tend to put a lot of technical stuff there to kind of connect the images. So I wanted to get a picture of Daniel in there and, looking like he does in real life because I think, previously it wasn't really based on Daniel. I mean, it was kind of roughly Daniel-ish. But then once he was on board to really push this with us, then I was like, I'm going to draw a cover for the ladies. And
An homage.
Well, you succeeded because it looks better than the real me.
Yeah, so this is number 3 is a very kind of a pivotal moment because I think that's where the kind of inciting incident happens, where everything just kind of goes off in a whole other direction. So I just want to give this cover that kind of impact.
It's great.
You notice with this one, Sean, you had 2 versions. That was like one was more bloody than the other one as far as the color. And I was just curious, like I didn't actually hear you guys talk about the decision to have with this one right here is the more bloody one, but
the more bloody one for sure.
What
I chose this one. I like this one.
Okay. Well, what was the decision there?
Well, if I could say something, like even though I write and draw this book, it's still there are other people involved to finish out the artwork, and this cover, I drew some blood, and then also there was a point in the story where some children get hurt a little bit because of it's the big how big the stakes are in the story, and I would draw some blood. But then when I get the art back, I was like, wow, the colorist went to town on this, and then just almost kind of changed the story. So I think Carl likes to see a lot of blood.
I do.
Because he's an edge lord, and then which is fine for you, but if this gets banned or if I get canceled, it's they'll say that I did this. So.
Yeah, speaking of more blood, let me introduce another guest to the stage, Miss Michelle Waffle. What's up?
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle was a little distraught when we caught up at San Diego Comic-Con. She's like, "Oh, what have you been to?" I was like, "Oh, I just finished shooting Crossed." She's like, "Crossed?" So, oh, she might be muted, huh? Are you muted? There you go. Yeah, she is muted. Oh, Michelle, I think you're muted for some reason. Oh, there you go. She's coming back.
She's back.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you now. Yay!
Okay. Okay. I always enter on mute just because you never know.
Yeah,
never know.
I do that too. We were just talking about that, and it's funny. They actually had like these little memes that were passing around on set, and there was one of me holding a big, like a one of those things, the big red microphones, not the microphone. What is it called? Is it microphone?
Horn,
like a horn phone, whatever. Yelling more blood.
Megaphone.
Megaphone.
Like
megaphone. Yes.
Yeah.
Or
cheerleader.
Bob side of me, but yeah, I just kept yelling more blood because I just felt like it wouldn't capture on camera. But since we're capturing.
I'm going to have to duck out here, guys, briefly.
Cool.
I'll be back on later in the stream. I just want to mention I'm looking over at our campaign. We're at 43 backers, which is so exciting. And a lot of people doing the catch-up tier and the full series tier, as well as just Evermind 4 to 6. So, but also there's a lot of love for your art, Sean, because we already have 2 people getting those cover quality commissions that we're offering.
Oh, wow. That's
great. Out here. So anyway, I'll be back later on.
Thanks, Francis. We only have 3 of those, right? So we're almost sold out, I guess. So if you're looking for cover quality commission, we're gonna be done with 1 more. So congrats to those 2 who got it. And since we're on the cover topic, actually, Michelle, any what's up? Any thoughts on what you've read so far? Tiffany, you as well. I know you guys had a chance to preview the books.
Yeah. Sean and Daniel, I want to ask, like, what was one thing that surprised you when working on this together and collaborating? Like something that you learned about yourselves or about each other in devising this story?
I was very impressed with how much Sean had prepared himself to be a writer. Sean talked about like reading books and taking courses and doing all this kind of stuff and really taking that part very, very seriously. And that's why it was such a pleasure to kind of work with him on the storyline, because I came in already and, the main point was like character. Like that was the most important thing before we got the plot lines. And like that is a kind of basic screenwriting type of thing that we're used to, that I'm used to working in. And so it was kind of refreshing to see that he was already on that level and going that way. And I was really impressed with his commitment to really knocking this one out of the park for his first time.
And I would say that when I first started doing this, we came up with, I think when you do stories, first it's like the concept and then there's the plot. And then we kind of worked all that out and ready to start. And so Carl said, all right, let's start drawing it. And it was a very daunting thing because it's 6 issues and it's a lot of robots. And actually, I wasn't really looking forward to getting it going because it's 6 issues. Most likely I would be able to do 1 issue and then I would probably either lose interest or just kind of burn out. But it wasn't until like when Daniel came on board, we started engaging character and theme. And I found that what I discovered was that character and theme is really what it's all about. Even though it's like a sci-fi plot that's like potentially very exciting, until you bring the character and theme in there and know exactly what that's about, surprisingly, it gave me a boost that can, I can draw this book forever. And it's just really weird how that happened. Is that you really do need more than just plot and concept.
So the foundation sounds like it was between the father and the daughter,
Mm.
like their kind of
Yes.
tumultuous relationship and having this unlikely bond when they both get turned into robots,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah. But yes, I feel like that was like the heartbeat of the story, the foundation that you needed, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprisingly way more important than I thought, because I think it was kind of based on Steve Jobs and his daughter, and they were estranged, and that's all I really knew about the characters. And then it was time to go draw it. But then, Daniel came in, and he has a special relationship with his family. So this is sort of like a what if Daniel took a different route, because I think there was a point where he was had to step out of the Hollywood spotlight for a while to take care of some family stuff, which is a decision that a lot of actors wouldn't do, because time goes by, and then you really have to strike while the iron's hot. So he made a very important decision, and that's what this story is about. Is like the theme is like, what's more important, trying to achieve your greatness at the expense of your family? And I think we kind of all know the answer to that, but it was basically bringing that idea into the story that really propelled it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think me and Sean being girl dads definitely helped inform subconsciously a lot of the themes of the story. Um, I think naturally we just kind of kept circling around that theme of the father and daughter thing. And it ended up being, like Sean was saying, is the backbone of the whole story. And then everything else, plot and action and blah, 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 all that kind of fits around that. But if you go the opposite way, then it becomes hollow, you know? And so I'm really happy that we identified that in the very beginning. I'm always reluctant to go to something personal in storytelling, because you always want to try and tell something outside of your world. But I think the most successful stories are told that are told or come from a really personal place. The seed is personal. So I think Sean and I, we were able to identify something in common between the both of us, and our commitment to family and all that stuff. Maybe it's something cultural or whatever, but that I think became the central core of everything. And then everything that Sean's so great at just wrapped around it, you know.
Yeah,
When I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys are speaking to a lot of the things I was going to ask about, which is maybe there's some generational trauma with these characters, especially when you get to issue number 4 and you see Lucas's relationship with his father and how that has impacted his relationship with his daughter, how he didn't mean to be estranged from her, and he just wanted to make his father proud. Were those themes of generational trauma, were those ones that you explored through like personal experiences or through like stories, like friends, family?
Well, basically, if you this is the stuff I learned in storytelling. It's like every character has a flaw, and the character, the protagonist, is a really highly flawed person. And then you kind of have to research where that flaw comes from. So if you take it back to the kind of the genesis or the origin of that bad lesson that he learns, and then how it informs his life, and then also having Lucas be a big part of his father's flaw. Uh, I think that's what it has a ripple effect, and then it does go on, and then so basically the story is basically how to end that, and then to move forward with a new paradigm of how to get by in the world. So yeah, it's just like screenwriting 101 stuff that that I learned. So yeah, it's. I'm glad you picked that up, because a lot of times people read it and they don't really know exactly what that scene means. But in a story like Evermind, it's 12-issue story packed into 6. So everything that's said, every scene that exists, every word that's spoken, has a meaning and a ripple effect that pays off later on in the story. So I'm glad you saw that, and then I was kind of wondering if it was probably a little bit too subtle or too like a little bit hard to figure out what's going on, but I'm glad you see what the point was of that scene.
And you don't really need the readers to understand why you did something or be able to articulate it. You just need them to feel it.
Mm.
And naturally what happened when I first came on board the project, I told Sean, I thought the first scene in the first issue was just brilliant. You know, he opened with a confrontation between the daughter and the father. So there's drama there in the confrontation. And the whole thing about the cup, the world's best ad cup, was just a great metaphor and a great way to visualize what was being talked about. And it was simple. It wasn't overly complex. It was simple and easy to absorb. It's great.
Yeah, and to add to your question, Michelle, I think there's some subconscious stuff in there too, as you know, as men trying to be successful in the world. You're trying to provide for your family and all that stuff. But I think both Sean and I have had our moments of like, okay, when we really have a family, then it's about taking care of them. It's not about achieving greatness, but it's about taking care of them. And I think these themes in the story is where you see Dr. John kind of realizing that his undying drive for success, probably caused by his father, is caused trauma on the next generation, right? And then he realizes that, and then he tries to take it away. And it's definitely a theme that I deal with in my real life, raising a daughter. I can't raise her the way my parents raised me. Definitely, that kind of hard, tough love doesn't necessarily work that way, and especially with this generation, right? And so I think those themes were kind of, you know, we didn't. I don't think Sean and I really talked about that stuff, but I think we understand that as being fathers and being, you know, of the middle generation of our parents are around and then our kids are around, and I think that is kind of a universal stuff that we just talked about and we understood. We just knew it and we didn't really have to discuss it. And so that's why it's subtly in there and not slapping you in the face. But people who've gone through this or going through this now will understand it very clearly.
Yeah, it's very multi-layered. And I also like how the characters have a lot of introspection as well too. It's just like they keep going, but then they have an epiphany and they're just like, I need to change this, that it's never too late to make the situation better.
Yeah. There's the moment where they're in transit, and that's a good time to put all that stuff in. You know, one of the things I learned in Robert McKee's writing class, a lot of times you need this flashback and backstory stuff, and then there's always moments in the story where there's a lull, when you have to change the pace up between, you're moving from one battle to another, and there's a quiet part there. And that's a good place for a lot of people to leave the story because it starts to slow down. But then that's where you introduce a flashback that has a lot of juicy information, and that's a good place to put that, and it keeps people engaged and keeps people reading.
It's interesting you're speaking about that scene, because again, I remember talking about this in a comic book. The difference between a comic book and a movie or a TV show is a chase scene isn't going to be very dramatic. In a comic book, it's a static medium, so it's not going to be. And you made the drama about the characters in that scene, even though they were having to race to something. We don't get that sense of urgency that we would in a movie or a TV show. So it was a perfect time to tell that backstory.
Yeah, completely agree. So speaking of backstories, I know, Terry, you have a few more minutes of us before you have to head to your speaking engagement. So I thought it'd be cool to talk a little bit about the variant cover, because you had a huge hand in some of the talents that were involved this time around. So let me actually show where we're at here. So why don't we start with this one?
Alan Davis.
Yes, it is Mr. Alan Davis himself. So what was the conversation like with Alan? He had a cool little quote. He just said, "Beauty isn't skin deep."
Yes, that was his quote. So Alan and I go way back, and we're very good friends. He was one of the first people I thought to ask for this. And he was happy to do it. And he did it very quickly and turned it around. He obviously figured out exactly what the focus of the story was. It was those two characters. And what's interesting, when we first had it colored, Alan hadn't sent any color notes. And we weren't aware that that was her peeling her skin off. The colorist originally just did it as a sort of sexy moment of her peeling off her dress. And once he pointed that out, it changed everything. And we went back, did that. Similar to what Sean did in that other piece that we saw, one of the wraparound pieces.
Yeah, legend. Excalibur, Uncanny X-Men. This guy, you know, it's awesome that you're bringing him on board.
He's a brilliant guy and a really nice guy.
Any reaction, Sean, when you saw the Alan Davis cover?
Oh, I mean, I grew up reading Alan Davis. Clandestine and Excalibur were huge for me. As an artist, I mean, you always look for the guy who you want to draw just like, and for a good long time, he was the the tip of the pyramid for me. So it's an honor to have him do this. So I met him only once, and he was a really great guy, and just the fact that he's covering a book that I did just blows my mind. It's fantastic.
So I'm not sure what happened just now, but all of a sudden we jumped to $4,600. So we're basically halfway past our campaign, literally just in this last moment. So I thought I'd bring it up here real quick because there were only 45 minutes into the stream. So let me get back to Alan Davis. So the next variant cover is recognizable by anyone on kind of where the inspiration may be? Yeah,
I love this one. This is my favorite of the variants.
Yeah, so it is the K-pop Demon Hunter variant by Brienne Anden. I've been tying Brienne for a long time, and young talent of the Philippines. Just really good about getting out there and like having presence. And I believe Jiggy also represents him on his original art. But when we're brainstorming, I've always wanted him to be involved in some way because he has kind of a manga, newer webtoons look, and want to bring something really fun. And he was like, I was like, yeah, we're actually doing a lot of homages. Like, any ideas? And he's like, how about K-pop Demon Hunter? I was like, oh, awesome. And so that's what he delivered, and it's a fun one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great that Michelle and Tiffany both love it as well. So there we go, K-pop Demon Hunter. In case you live in a cave and don't know what it is, the number one show in the world, basically Netflix is Frozen, they call it, and you're gonna see a lot more of this in the days to come. All right, then back to Terry.
This one's Howard Chaykin, and it's an homage to one of his American flag covers.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's him. He did a great job on it. Again, turned it around very quickly. Very smart choice. I mean, we gave him a couple of choices of which of his covers we'd like to homage, and he went with this one, which was a great choice because it allows for Bobo in the middle and some of the sex spots on the side, which is effectively what that American flag cover was. There's a slight change in that he gives us more of the women's faces in this, and that was at our request, at Carl's request.
Yes.
Because sexy women apparently sell comic books.
It's a thing on Kickstarter. I mean, it's just I learned so much this round with Francis because he's just been a deep diver into the whole Kickstarter world, and there's this whole world of like not safe for work. I don't think we'll ever go there, but it's definitely a thing. And so I think Howard is like the perfect controversial guy, to work on something like this. So thank you for that, Terry. And then, this is another artist from the Philippines, BJ. Good friends with Crease, one of our artists as well. He did like a painterly cover. It's funny. I think PJ came on board because I felt like we need a balance to our variant covers. We already have 5, and then I wanted 2 for each of the issues. And so we're like, oh, what's missing? I need something really different because we already did something with another painter. But PJ comes off more of a digital painter. And so I literally messaged him at I woke him in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. I was like, oh, I think PJ. So I messaged him and see what was down. And then he turned it around for us really quickly. He was the last cover to join our crew. So he was at LA Comic Con. We couldn't get together because I didn't know he was in the Artist Alley after walking. I think Michelle, you were there. The Artist Alley was huge, right? I couldn't find him. I was like, where are you? And then he messaged. He's like, oh yeah, I'm actually upstairs at this other group. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta leave because my ride had to leave. So Dinesh actually went to go pick up the original for me. So we're gonna do something with the original. But
that's PJ beautiful. I hadn't seen that until now. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
This is so lovely. It just shows who Jen is inside. She's still her, even though she has this amazing, powerful new body. This is just the vibe. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, her face shows attitude and the body shows heart, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
looking into her soul.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. All right. So this next one, DC exclusive artist represented by our friend Sean and my friend Fletch. He did the sketch for us. His name is Riccardo Federici, exclusive artist at DC. And typically cannot work on stuff outside of DC. And every year, I think they have 3 exceptions they could do, and it's requests that they put in. And so, he used one of those 3 on us. So he did this painted cover, which, by the way, will be at New York Comic Con as part of the Evermind 1/2 exclusives. And so it's available at the VV booth. And so definitely come pick a copy up, as Daniel and Sean will be at New York Comic Con signing the booth on Saturday, October 11th. And last but not least,
can anyone guess? It's Stephen Platt.
Yes, Mr. Platt.
And it's spectacular. And it's even down to the coloring, it's all Platt. Or as he likes to sign it. He was a perfect choice. He really was. That was Carl's idea again to ask Stephen, and I just love this. I don't know.
Andre, beautiful.
What say that it doesn't say.
Yeah, last New York Comic Con, I had a privilege of breaking bread with Terry and Steven. And, I've kind of always looked up to him on his art as well, because I think while Sean was on the Team Valiant, he was Team Image around the same time. And he, also did like Moon Knight, and he also, Prophet, Rob Liefeld's, the creator of Deadpool's Prophet. He was kind of known for really like elevating that book. And then he went on to do movie stuff. So he is, pretty prominent in a lot of feature films over the years. And then the last couple of years, as Hollywood kind of slowed down, he really started coming back into the comic space. So it's really cool to see, Steven as part of the variant cover team.
I'm proud to say I gave him his first work in comics when he was young.
Yeah.
Very, very young.
Yeah.
But the guy's committed. He always met his deadlines, and which is not easy when you're doing that level of detail. But he was a hard worker from day one.
Yep. So those are all the variant covers. Thank you, Terry, for that.
I might jump right now, but I'll try to come back. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
That's your plan. Thanks, Terry.
See ya.
Bye, Terry.
Bye. Now I got to figure out how to go.
Actually, I'll remove you, but keep your screen on so I can upload your video. I'll remove. Yep, there we go. All right. So those are the variant covers. We didn't do that much of those on the last campaign, but I think for this one, we realized it's super important to build a good roster. Even going to comic book shops next year, the first thing they ask for is who's on the variant covers, because I think it's kind of become that. It's almost like, I don't know, Mickey, you could probably expand on where the market's going and what it's become. I think it'd be interesting to talk about that.
I think there's no way around it. On the one hand, I'm old school, and I prefer kind of like how you would go to a restaurant and want it the way that the chef prepares it. So I'm more inclined to want to get, say, Sean's vision to whatever story he wants to do on the cover. But that being said, I think there's a lot of people that, the aesthetics are huge. Comic collectors are visual people, and, whatever is going to bring them into the story. And you look at all the variant covers, and you have like the modern looking ones, you have ones that are, more horror based or mysterious, and then you have ones that are more sci-fi. And if that's what it takes to get someone to open the book, I mean, then it's a tool for you. So you have to be able to do that and make variants.
Yeah, just kind of going off what Mickey said, I think every variant cover can appeal to somebody. Like, you have the sexy ones, and those are great, but then you also have the ones that imply more of like a strong like female lead. And for me, like, I'm all about the girlies, and not necessarily like in a sexy way, but just seeing them portrayed like in a strong sense where it's more about like their personality and their like inner strengths versus like, oh yeah, they're nice to look at.
Yeah, I think something for everyone. And, Michelle, you're at PSA now. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
And I was telling Mickey, like, they couldn't have selected a better representative, face for the brand. And, I think PSA is coming with a force. I mean, I wouldn't do this live here, but there was a video that went viral where the guy is banging these like CGC labels slabs on the table and it just shatters. And then the CGC, he's like bang, 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 and then it just nothing happens, and it's like what?
They did their research and they tested their product very well, like before I was even on board. So those cases are strong.
Yeah, I mean, speaking even the variant side, you probably learn a lot about the collecting side and the importance of it with grading as well now, because I think a lot of the variants are the ones that are getting graded on the modern side, right?
I've seen a lot of variants come through. I've seen a lot of the same book submitted because I think a lot of people are trying to get those PSA 10s.
Yeah.
And it's a nice preview of what people are really resonating with in the market. Like, I mean, I'm a variant cover girl too, so I like to see all the cool comics coming through so I can say, oh yeah, I need to add that to my list. I'm definitely dropping off an Evermind comic at our booth at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I mean, not to spoil it. As a pre, we will be dropping books for sure at New York Comic Con at PSA.
Yes.
In fact, you guys, I think it's
through.
like our first stop before the signing. So we'll be coming to hang out. I think we got some.
I will be there. That's my shift. So I made sure. I was like, I think they're coming that morning. So yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, we got plans. We got plans. I mean, back to the campaign, we got the covers. So I thought it was funny. Howard Chaykin, who's kind of known for his controversial take on things, his quote was, "The great thing about mechanical gorillas is that they don't smell like the real thing. The great thing about sexy robots is that they do, and then some." Goodness. But that's the intro to the covers. I thought actually maybe a better way to intro is through the art itself. So, this is very meaningful, Sean, I think. You're known for this, Wolverine cover 159. Not only was it used for, and often when you search Sean Chen, this cover comes up, it was also used for the Return of Weapon X as a trade paperback cover. So it's iconic. Yeah, iconic, double use. And so, yeah, what was your thoughts when you dove into the line art?
Well, this idea came from you. It was kind of strange. I thought you do an homage. You homage someone else, like someone much better than yourself. But I guess you work long enough in this business. You create enough stuff that you can start homaging yourself in your old age. So, this is it was pretty much a 1-to-1 type of situation here. And I really had to lean heavily on the colors to make it look the same. And then whoever did the logo made it look similar to the Wolverine logo. But yeah, this is probably the cover that I'm, most known for, even though I have a bigger run on Iron Man. And I remember this one, it was in that phase where it was all about the Image comics. And so I was drawing things that were really exaggerated, like his big hands. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and it was an unusual idea, and I thought I'd run with it, and it seemed I'm happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, speaking of the logo, yeah, me too. Speaking of the logo, Jane on our team is the one that figured it out and replicated the Wolverine logo for the Evermind 1/2. Which is going to be exclusively on the 1/2. But this also serves as a cover for issue number 4, which will then revert back to our Evermind logo. So for those of you attending New York Comic Con, definitely go pick up your copy at the VV booth. And the VV booth number is, let me try to find it in the chat.
I need to write that down so I can go grab one.
Yeah, I already have
3347.
3347. Yeah, I think Daniel might be correct on that one.
Let me double check. I have it.
It's here somewhere. God, my memory is so bad these days. 3327.
3327. Right.
Yep, so check out 3327. These are going to be exclusive. Yeah, only a couple hundred copies of each. And there's a bundle as well. And then on Saturday, if you are able to get your hands on some, you could get in line to have them signed by Sean and Daniel, and take them to PSA.
I was gonna say, come to PSA afterwards. We would love We would love to slab those for you. We do autograph authentication now too, as well.
So how would that work? Do you guys have to be at the booth to authenticate, or do they bring it? They already know it's Daniel and Sean's.
You can just bring your signed books to us, and we have our autograph authenticators that do their research, their due diligence. So you don't need a witness. You don't need to bring anybody with you. You don't need to have a COA. I mean, if you do, that's great. And yeah, we'll authenticate it for you. You can get your autograph graded as well. So that's a newer thing for comic books, is to get a grade.
I was about to get into that. So
explain that process. Like what are they looking for the autograph authentication? Grading, sorry.
So they'll look at the quality of the autograph. Like if it was, maybe you were signing and you got bumped, so it smudged a little bit, that wouldn't necessarily be a 10. Or if, maybe it's later in the day, you're kind of tired, you're signing. If the pen isn't as like strongly held to the paper, it might not be as dark. So there's little nuances like that.
Okay. What about the actual autograph itself? Because you know how everybody has like I'm going to do my full signature and do the whole thing, and then there's the I'm scribbling to sign a receipt. Does that matter?
It is still authenticated, because some people do have their different signatures. Like they keep their nice ones for conventions and signing events. But our research team, they do their, like I said, they do their due diligence, and they research the person to see if they have two different signatures. If one is done like more quickly, they will research that.
Yeah,
Sean and Daniel,
I realized I might have screwed some people over, because like at that last signing we did, I have a signature that has my Chinese characters in it, and then sometimes I sign it without. And so we were in Arcadia, so for the Chinese speaking fans that came, I signed it with the Chinese, but for the non-Chinese speakers, I just signed it regular. So I might have screwed some people over.
The Chinese characters are coveted.
We can figure it out. PSA.
Oh yeah, how would you rate that, really? Like if it's both?
I feel like the Chinese characters would be more rare then, and would be higher value, because you're not signing as often. Yeah.
It could. Those are really great questions. I'm gonna bring these up to like the panelists and our signature authenticator, because I just know we're doing a panel as well. These are the things that people are gonna want to know, and I'm also still learning. So these are great.
This is very specific to me and the way I sign. So I'm not sure you'll run across that too much.
I need Sean to put in as much work into when he signs my book as he did for the double cover.
Yeah, no pressure, guys. Now that you're gonna be doing like 1,000 signatures on Saturday, those grades are in your hands. And in fact, Michelle, one thing you should bring up is our friends are actually launching Hong Kong Comic Con next year, and it's an official license.
That is so cool.
Comic Con that will happen in Hong Kong, and I got to see like a preview of the programming. I think it's pretty cool. I should introduce you guys, so maybe you guys can have some PSA presence out there.
Yeah, it's going to be produced by my buddy Louis Koo, actor, Hong Kong actor, but also a huge comic book fan. He has a warehouse in Hong Kong. I would say it's like 5,000 square feet of 1-to-1 scale figures of everything, like Iron Man, Batman, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, like everything. He has everything. He's like, I don't know, it must be 100 of these 1-to-1 figures. It's like a museum, but it's like his private collection, and not many people get to see it. So I don't think, I mean, people do know that he's a huge comic book fan, but this is the first time he's able to really kind of like expand it beyond his own personal world. So I think he's excited to be able to host the first Hong Kong Comic Con.
Wow, I'm kind of imagining like the terracotta soldiers, but
it's crazy. That place,
it looks like that.
It's all black. Everything is painted black inside, and then these figures individually lit all over the place, and there's 2 floors. So it's nuts. It's pretty nuts.
Sounds epic.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he was doing this like, I want to say 20 years ago. He had already had that, and he had people custom making. We have a friend that does special effects, like the suits and all those kind of things, and he had that guy Andrew Lin build all those things for him.
Carl, did you say that 24/7 is having a booth, and what's the number? Because you said Vivi, but are you just with Vivi, or does 24 have its own?
Yes, we are. Hosted by Vivi and in partnership with them, and we'll be at their booth. In the meantime, I know a few of you guys have to bounce, but let's welcome Lolo as well. What's up, Lolo?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey.
Good. We'll
Hey.
start venturing in different realms, including cosplay, etc. So welcome.
Hi.
Tiffany, I think you mentioned you have to go as well. Michelle,
It was
thanks
nice to see you all.
really
See you at New
appreciate
York Comic-Con.
Yeah.
See you guys. See you in New York.
Yeah, come through. Our booth is 3206 PSA. Please drop off all of your signed comics to us. We would love to grade them.
Yes. And I'm gonna connect you with Hong Kong Comic Con. It'll be a fun one.
Yes, please. We'll chat offline.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
What's up, Lo? How's it going? So a friend of the channel, a friend of Mickey as well, and that's how we all met. Really appreciate you coming through. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. It's going. I actually woke up like 45 minutes ago, so let's go.
Do this.
Yeah.
Where are you dialing in from? I think
Vegas.
Vegas, yes.
Yeah.
Where Swagglehouse had a residence for a bit.
Yeah. Where did you go? Did you dip already?
I was there. I was there for a little bit, but I'm in LA, you know.
That was it. That was a hot second. I feel like you were here for like what, a couple of years?
No. A few months actually. It was a
Oh.
short-lived trip.
Nearly a year, actually.
Never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a good time out there, and I feel like you know, Vegas is a little. It's like the Evermind or the underworld of you know, our actual.
You could definitely
country
say
here.
this. Yes. Yeah, that's actually the most accurate thing that you could probably say about Vegas, 100%. There's a
Yeah.
reason why they made a Fallout game based here, you know? So how's everybody? What did I miss out? Did I miss out on anything juicy about the Evermind comic? Because I'm actually really starting to enjoy this. I know I've only gotten to issue 3. We got a little bit of sneak peek of issue number 4, but
Yes.
I've actually really thoroughly enjoyed this comic, like a lot. So I need to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Fill her in, Carl. What did we miss? What did she miss out on?
I mean, well, so far we just went through all the covers, and so I could show you kind of where we're at. This issue 2. I have some questions for you, Lo, but we went through the first issue, 3 issues covers, went through all the tiers on the Kickstarter, and so far so good. We've been, you know, getting a lot of commentary, really just questions for Sean as well, and Daniel's relationship on the story and the character behind it, and so yeah, we'll just continue the conversation. And actually, perfect timing because, you know, you are a content creator. You also create some content with us for Evermind, and you know, one of the perspectives I always love hearing from is cosplayers and character design. And so, you know, Sean was very intentional in creating like a beautiful Brittany that is homage for issue 5 to Brian Boland's Wonder Woman cover. So
okay, I'm not crazy then, because I did kind of see this when we first went through it, and I was like, that kind of looks like Wonder Woman. Okay, I like that. Cute.
So Sean, what inspired this one? Because I didn't tell you about it. I didn't share the idea. It was a surprise to me too.
Well, one of my favorite covers growing up. I love Brian Boland's work, and he just drew this picture of Wonder Woman. That the face was very much Linda Carter, and it just looked fantastic. I had the poster. A lot of people I know had the poster, and I also like the fact that it was just kind of an empty background. A lot of the covers I do kind of fill the whole page, and it gets a little bit much for your eyes. So I thought this was a great iconic pose and iconic cover. So I just kind of did my version of it, and you know, I'm happy with it because it's having someone else, like a living legend artist, kind of take over the composition. It's just really set it up for a good outcome. So yeah, it's one of my favorite covers of the series.
I don't know. I really like it. I love the details and everything. As far as character design, I feel like this is super cool. I mean, as a cosplayer, I'm already like, how in the hell am I going to look like a cybertech cool, you know, female bot? But like, it's just a really cool character design. I like that there's a little bit of simplicity behind it, but I also like that there's also a lot of character. Like just because she's a robot, you can tell she's got some attitude kind of thing. Like I really like this. I think it speaks volume for the character without knowing too much about it.
Cool.
And here's the line art. which
Yeah.
is-
The line art's always, oh God, I love that because you can see more detail sometimes. And I really like that, like the shading and stuff.
Actually, there's one thing that just came to mind where I thought you'd have a laugh about. We talked about this, where when Sean actually worked on the line art, he didn't really know like how much blood there was going to be, and there was two choices: a less bloody and then a more bloody, and we ended up going with the lots of blood.
Yeah,
So-
there's you can't go wrong with too much blood.
Exactly. So also a fan of Cross here, Lo. This is where we connect. And so we were talking about Cross and how I was on set yelling, "More blood, more blood."
I would be right there with you. Because yeah, I don't think that there's too much of a limit when it comes to blood and gore for me. I think it adds to a lot to the story. And I know it's not for everybody, but you know, just to have that visual, I think adds a lot to the intensity of the scene. And this right here, it's already just like, wow. So like, what is this comic book about? What is happening? Why is this guy covered in blood? Like, there's just, yeah, there's already so many questions going through my head when looking through this.
The power of blood.
The power of blood,
Yeah,
exactly.
you know that one cover with the Wolverine homage? I was thinking that those are all robots. So, you know, I was thinking like Carl just looking at this, trying to say more blood, but they're all robots. So
More wires. More wires.
Yeah, more
Chips.
More wires.
There you go. I mean, Alien kind of did a cool take on, you know, I know they're like synthetics and everything, but how they have that white oozy
White
stuff
blood.
coming out of them.
the
And
milk.
I think, yeah, like even then, like that adds a lot to it, you know, because it's just like synthetics bleed, I guess. Now, like white stuff. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like it. So I don't know. You can probably fit that in there a little
We
bit.
can make it like black oil. Yeah, have you
There
seen
you
that
go.
movie, Tetsuo Iron Man, where the guy
Yes.
turns himself into a robot and he's bleeding black oil? That's that's a good image. What was your blood budget for Cross, Carl?
Oh my God.
Did you guys spend
Yeah,
a lot of money on blood?
We did. It was because we were yelling more blood. The guys would come and with trucks full of their canisters of blood. They'll be pouring it, and then I didn't realize how much they freaking cost. They were
Yeah,
like,
man.
As a
dude,
cosplayer, yeah, it sucks.
those buckets were like $500.
Yeah.
And so we're just like pouring, and then
This is a very niche subject for people who really know about this, but blood stuff, it's crazy.
it's crazy,
crazy.
expensive. And
We
so
were for Into the
Go on.
Badlands. We had a room with like refrigerators full of these 5-gallon jug things of blood, and then different ones. So there's like blood for the floor. There's blood to
Yeah.
put on people. There's blood to put in your mouth. There's blood to put in your eye. And you know, in the Badlands, we did 3 seasons of that. So there was blood everywhere all the time. We had the little latex pools of blood that you just throw on the floor that looks like a pool of blood.
Yeah,
You know,
those two,
like
yeah.
you go into the weeds of like how blood can be shown on screen and all that stuff, and it's like pretty nuanced, and you only understand it if you've lived through all that. Like what you're saying, calling for more blood. We were like doing the same thing, pouring blood all around the set, all over people, all that kind of stuff.
It makes a difference. And,
Expensive.
super expensive. And at one point we had this. I think you read the comic, Lo. There was a courtyard scene that's pretty famous in issue 1. And when we were shooting that, it was a giant, warehouse, and we had a big courtyard, and there was just like bodies everywhere, right? And so we're like pouring blood, and then it took like 20 minutes, and we only covered like a quarter of the courtyard, and so we gotta stop, and it was getting absorbed into the concrete, and so it just didn't really work. So we're like, this whole scene is VFX. So we basically converted it to VFX and had to put up some screens and stuff. But yeah, it's really expensive. I didn't know until kind of halfway through the movie what the actual cost of it all was, because the special effects guys, they won't say no. They'll just say, "Oh yeah, we got more blood, we'll give it to you." But afterwards, I pulled the guy aside. I was like, "Hey, how much are these canisters?" Because the director is pretty big on having more blood too. And once I knew, I was like, all right, we gotta start conserving.
Cha-ching. Yep, that's a lot of money.
I'm actually super curious as to how Cross is going to be like, because I'm reading it, it's probably one of the most goriest, shocking, graphics you'll probably see in comics, aside from maybe like, Invincible and stuff like that, but in its own way, because it kind of goes past the limits of what you would expect. Like, there's babies getting ripped apart basically. So I'm just like, how are we going to get this on screen? Like without, you know what I mean? Like, is there limitations, or do you guys just go all in?
I won't spoil anything for you, but we go all in good taste, because we are
Okay.
big on that too. Like, we want to be as authentic to the source material as possible, but we also didn't want to go into like a triple X rating or something. We just feel like it's important to make sure we do something that's tasteful and looks good on the big screen. So it's very cinematic. Our DP worked on Bone Tomahawk and a lot of those movies. Yeah, so yeah, the very so if you see Bone Tomahawk, it kind of has a shock value, but all the scenic and everything is really good taste. So I'll say that much. But we did see a few scenes, and it looks really good so far.
Oh, I'm so excited for that project. I even thought because I also watched Into the Badlands, and I was just like, wow, you guys are really just going in on the blood and gore for like a TV series. This is super sick, because it's not something that you see very often. A lot of the time TV is just very mellow. Because you've got stuff like Supernatural and stuff where there's really like not much of anything, when it could very much have all of that. So I kind of liked how that also pushed the limits a little bit. I don't know, anything that's not scared to kind of just go a little above and beyond of like what's just safe for TV. I appreciate.
Yeah, we joked that the blood was a character.
It was
the blood was
its literal
character
main
of
character.
the screen. Yeah.
You were the extra when it came to the blood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That was a super good show. I love that one.
No, in fact, when we were shooting, I was like, dude, like, I was thinking about you too. And I was like, I don't know how you guys were on set for like 100 days, because I was tired, man. After we only shot for 21 days, and I was pretty burned out, just waking up super early in the morning and going to bed super late at night, and then having to drive like half an hour home. And it was really intense with all the action, and we had a great team. And the stunt team was, they're the Avatar stunt team. And so they're super pros, but we were like, everyone was getting tired, but you were like freaking at it, action for like days per season.
9 months straight. Like, it was hard. It was very hard. 9 months straight. And not only that, being the executive producer, so between scenes, I'm running around trying to set things up for the next day and this and that, or dealing with issues, blah, blah, blah. And then getting home and then having to study lines and then having to go back to work at 6 a.m. the next day. 9 months straight of that. It was rough. It was pretty rough. And for 3 years, it was a really tiring project, but super rewarding. Like, when you have the passion there, like, it drives you. It just keeps driving you to keep achieving, right? And so when we were working on Badlands, we knew it was something rare that we had there, and so we were just pushing the limits all the time for everything.
How do you go from a project like that and then transitioning to comics? Like, how was the change in that? Did you feel like you liked it better, or is there any comparison at all? Like, what part did you enjoy that you can't get out of acting?
I liked being part of. I mean, I was part of the creative process for Badlands, but the writers, Al Goff and Miles Millar, they were really running the show. And so in this situation where I came in kind of later in the stage, but helped shape the characters. It was a lot easier work for me. It was a lot harder work for Sean, because Sean is pulling two shifts at drawing and writing and trying to come up with the storyline. So I think for Sean, it was probably equivalent to me making Into the Badlands. But for me, working on this, it was nice. It was like having an office job. You show up and give your 2 cents and thoughts about things, and it was a good intellectual exercise for me, because a lot of times as an actor, you're a passive part of the creative process. You can inform your character, but you don't really mess with other people's characters and things like that. But in this stage, in this process, I came in and and was able to affect certain ideas onto the characters and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that was a lot of fun for me to do that. And then waiting a few months and then seeing Sean's beautiful art bring it to life, and then the dialogue and all that stuff, and just seeing it grow. It's like watching a flower bloom in front of you. It's really amazing.
Yeah, no, you guys did an incredible job. You guys have like probably some of the most stellar indie comic teamwork I've seen in a hot second. The dialogue from the art to the story itself, the characters, I mean, just knocked it out of the park. I actually have a question for you too, Daniel. When you had the father and daughter, relationship where clearly they're two completely opposite people, but then they come together to kind of, defeat this tech that he even created. Where was your inspiration for the direction of that? Like what made you go, yeah, this is going to be the duo that saves this in this universe?
Is this for me or for Sean?
For you, Daniel.
Okay. I think, when you look at story, you always have to find the heart of the story, and it's not about the plot and action and all that other stuff. That wraps the core, and we needed to find the core. And Sean kind of identified this relationship very early on. And then the fact that me and Sean are both girl dads, I think subconsciously
I love
there's a
that.
there's a lot going on there that we knew. Like my daughter is 12 and a half right now, about to be 13. So she's going through that stage, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
so I don't think we specifically talked about our specific situations, but when we talked about these themes, we knew understood each other, and we understood that because Sean's daughter is about the same age as my daughter, and I
Cute.
think you look at the world differently. Like as soon as my daughter was born, I looked at the world completely differently, and like
Yeah.
to even what Dr. Jung is going through, like his father immensely successful, and then that creates pressure on him to prove himself, and then he's driven as a man to become successful. That's like society pushes you that way, right? And at all
Hmm.
costs. But and then you get married and you have a family, and you think what you're doing is right for the family, and then all of a sudden you realize like you've gone too deep and you've alienated your family, and for the success that you were supposed to really be doing for your family. But then it becomes about the ego, like all this
Yeah.
stuff. Like as a 51-year-old man now, I've thought about these things through my life, and I think Sean and everybody of us have thought about these things. And then once you have family, it's this shocking kind of like makes you rethink everything, right?
Yeah.
And once you rethink that, you realize, oh, my younger ways were a little bit straight off the narrow path, and then you find the right balance, and it's all good. So I think these themes, once Sean presented them, they became very clear that that's what we should go for the core of the story, and then all the action and plot and all that stuff then wraps around it, because you got to have compelling characters to the start, and you have to have people understand this universal theme. Yes, you can be science fiction, you can be fantasy, whatever, but if there's not a core universal human theme at the heart of a story, it's hard to get people to follow along. And so we wanted to make sure that that was solid before we move forward with the rest of the story and the plot.
Yeah, no, that was something I actually appreciated. Like from the very start, from the very first few pages, like you kind of already get the glimpse of the relationship between the daughter and the father, which is you can tell is already a pretty pivotal point of the story. So the fact that you guys got so much character development within the first comic, and then you get the story and the action and everything, really drew in the story for me. And I was just like, okay, yeah, I can see the vision. I see where you guys are going with this. I'm hooked. So Sean, great job on the art too. Like I was like, okay, like this is something that not only do I see lots of details, but you're getting all of the action scenes in there. You're getting every single piece of dialogue without making it seem like it's too much dialogue or it's too boring to go through. But you're packing in all of this information on these panels. And I don't know. I have to give you an applaud for that because I love comics with dialogue and story, don't get me wrong, but there are also some comics where it's just nothing but dialogue and it's just terrible. You're just
Mhm.
like, all right, yep, get to the point, like we get it. But yeah, you guys had a really good healthy balance with everything, and I good work on that.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. And when I heard your review, it's one of those reviews that really meant a lot to me. And I guess for some reason, Carl sent this to a lot of women. Like I don't know where the guys are that reviews it, but for a book that's science fiction, it can be there's a barrier to entry because it looks like there's going to be a lot of exposition. There's going to be a lot of robot battles and laser battles, and it can be kind of off-putting. I wasn't sure it would resonate with everyone. but for some reason, all the reviews that came in so far were all from women, and I did kind of write this story as kind of for the ideal audience being a bunch of dude bros. But if you're a writer and you do your job well, it could resonate with a lot of people. So I think the very first line when you reviewed it was like, I didn't expect to love this comic as much as I did. And I totally get that, because you can look at the cover and just say that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be exposited on me. And also this artist is now writing and co-creating. That's another red flag. So there's a lot of red flags in getting into this. But then when you read it, there's this idea when you write that something can be unputdownable, which is a quality that I'm kind of obsessed with trying to reach. And then the other quality is DNF, which did not finish. A story like this for the wrong audience could be like one that you just don't finish, because it's just a lot of heavy sci-fi stuff. But I think because we put the character and the theme and then kept that as the central engine of the story, a lot of people, especially a lot of the women, are saying that they read the thing all the way through until there was no more to read. And that was probably the best thing that we could have heard. So I'm just, I was very thankful that when you said that, that there is some trepidation going into it, but then when you started, that you really got into it, and that meant the world to me. So.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I mean, I meant every word. So I'm really excited to continue read the story and see what's happening. Because, yeah, I mean, I personally think that, especially with the topic like AI, it's a pretty sensitive topic lately. It could either be a really helpful tool, or it could be something incredibly scary. Like, I don't know if you guys are seeing this Sora thing that's been circulating around, and it's so scary how believable it can be, first glance. And I think that's why a lot of people are probably resonating with the story, because it's kind of, we're almost headed in that direction. And to touch up on a subject like that without making it something that's, it's still kind of escape from reality, because it's like your own take on it, and we're not quite there yet, thank God. But yeah, I think it's just something that people can just honestly just relate to, because again, it's just exactly where we're going. And AI is just kind of a very interesting, touchy subject.
We're almost there. I mean, you mentioned Alien Earth. I mean, that came up several occasions where people were like, oh, there's a lot of similar themes as Evermind. I was a little worried after watching the first few episodes, and then I had a friend who's a showrunner who saw the whole thing ahead of time. He's like, don't worry, it changes from episode 4 and on, and it did.
It definitely was.
Right?
It went a couple of directions with that show.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about it yet. I finished it, and I'm still processing how I feel about the new Alien world. But
it was also like, it was almost like, I don't know if you felt that, though. It's like a mini version of like Game of Thrones, where like things were going so well, and then they just started like going every different direction. The memes started coming out, and people got like, what the heck's going on? Like the big one was the ET meme, where ET has like an alien in the basket. That was weird. Like, what? Like, it was such a weird theme for them to add to the whole thing.
I actually have never seen that, but that's very accurate.
When we did Evermind, we started this project many years ago, and it was before AI even came on. Like, I know AI has been around for a while, but in terms of like what it is capable of and what I know about it, that really came much later on after we started this. And then, of course, like Alien Earth was very recent. So, I'm glad we wrapped this book up in time, because it just seems like it took so long that a lot of these technologies and a lot of these shows that explored similar subjects and similar themes that have been coming out. But I just like to say that we started this years ago, so it's not copying anything. So,
were you guys inspired by the idea of AI at all, or is just something that you were maybe inspired by, like other sci-fi takes?
Well, it was before AI, before I knew that much about AI. But I think the cool thing is that it's just a technology that can be used in good ways and bad ways. And also, it's very similar in our story that Lucas Zhang came up with this initial technology, which is like a neural link, which allows you to almost like cosplay, and then a lot of fun stuff with robots. And it was in wide use, and it was going for a while. But then he got this really big, huge idea, which is basically a simple one-step evolution of Neuralink to neurotransfer, which put you in a whole different realm, because it's not just being a robot for a little while. All of a sudden, you're kind of knocking on the door of immortality, which is a whole different subject. So it's one of those things where technology evolves and then you find a use for it later. And I think AI is kind of like that, where they know they could do something, but they don't really know what the use is. It's going to be useful, but they're doing it because they can do it first. And it wasn't really there to solve a problem so much as we can do it, and then we'll let the people decide how to use it. And it can be used for good and for bad. So
exactly.
In that sense, that story, The Scarlet Letter, was really about McCarthyism. And I thought that was fascinating, just to kind of, a lot of people want to write stories about AI and what it can be capable of, either like tragic stories or positive stories. Anyone who's doing that but just mentioning AI, I think is kind of missing the mark, because I think when I don't know who wrote, was it Hawthorne that wrote The Scarlet Letter? He was kind of all obsessed and thinking about McCarthyism and outing communists and everything. But then the subject he chose was the Salem witch trials. So it's kind of like one of those things you kind of talk around it to get your point across.
And I think we're definitely influenced by like these tech moguls that exist today, right? Your Elon Musk, your Bezos, right? And it's interesting that with all that money, they can push this technology, but a singular vision also is great to push that idea through, but it's also dangerous, right? Because if it's a single vision without any consulting other people, and you have blinders on, you have blinders on to achieve a certain goal, and you don't see the repercussions of that technology. And I think that's the huge topic of AI right now, right? But I think, Dr. Zhang is dealing with that. It's a singular vision, but then he realizes like the people around him see other uses for his technology that he totally did not
money
see.
hungry.
Right. Right. And then, they see the money value in it and all that other stuff. And then once that gets stolen from you, you can't control it all. So like whoever created AI maybe had some, good plans for that. But if it gets out of control, then we're going to be all fucked. Right. So
we're cooked for sure.
it's so it's the same thing. It's like I think those themes, as me and Sean at our age, we've seen this evolution of this technology through the 70s and 80s, 90s to now, and now it's getting to that fulcrum point where it can be dangerous now. Like there was a lot of stuff that helped us move forward. We advanced really quickly, but now we're getting to that point where like, are we doing stuff that's bad for us now? Are we doing stuff that's really dangerous for the society now? And what is that gonna do? And so I think those themes definitely got marinated into the sauce here.
Yeah, speaking of dangers, we just hit 5,000 on the campaign.
Oh, no way.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Almost at the 888 goal. So thank you for everyone's support. It's been awesome. Did you see the trailer yet, Lo?
No, I haven't.
So I think
let's play that.
Let's play that, and then we have one additional guest that's going to join us as well.
I'm going to take a quick bathroom break while you're doing this.
Go for it. We'll start over.
Every invention begins with hope. It's a promise of a better future. I once held that future in my hands, but it was taken from me. The line between man and machine has faded. What was once an innovation is now a weapon, and I will turn it against them. Because my curse is theirs too. My invention is no longer about legacy. It's about her, about us. And our future is in our hands.
Hell yeah.
Hey everyone, Daniel Wu here. When Sean Chen and I first started Evermind, it was more than just a story about science and machines. It was about family, legacy, and what it means to stay human in a world that's changing faster than ever. Making this comic has reminded me why I fell in love with storytelling in the first place. And now we're finishing that journey, but we can't do it without you. Your pledge today powers the print run that gets Evermind into comic shops next year. and keep stories like this alive for future readers. Thank you for your support, and let's finish this together.
Oh yeah.
I
And
love it.
trailer by our boy Mickey Finnegan. That guy
Oh,
is such a storyteller.
he
And
really is.
he killed it. And speaking of my boys, we got Mr. Christopher Sean. What's up?
Yo, what's up, brother? How are you? Good,
So
nice
you
to meet you,
might know a thing or two about storytelling.
That's very cool.
Christopher, he's the man behind Ultraman Rising, and so we got Ultraman joining us today on Evermind launch. Lo meet Chris, Chris meet Lo, and Sean meet Chris, Chris meet Sean. We
Pleasure to meet you.
we just came back from Kazakhstan together, of all places.
Yeah, that was an adventure. The culture, the atmosphere, building an ecosystem with you, working with their government, incredible. But I'll be honest, man, it is not nearly as cool and incredible as Evermind. This adventure has been so freaking good. I read all four comics yesterday. Holy cow, it's good.
Yeah, it was a fun journey. I mean, Lo did an awesome review for us on Instagram. It was actually very moving, just like the direction of where you took it, Lo. And so, yeah, Chris also had a chance to read it, and I thought it'd be cool just to invite some friends who are in the industry as well, just to come on and share and connect. Daniel, you just missed Daniel to a restroom break, but he'll be right back. But yeah, what was your immediate reaction, Chris? I mean, I'm gonna then jump in after we hear your reaction. We're gonna jump in for both you and Lo to see the issue cover for number 6. And so, what was your immediate reaction? I guess a quick recap. We'll love your thoughts.
You know, it was one of the best cliffhangers at the end of 4. I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, how are you gonna leave me like this? How do they escape? How do they break out? I don't wanna give anything away, right? But initial reaction was the Bobo world was incredible. The underworld, I loved all of that. The concept in itself. We are on the precipice of. I think Sean Altman just said yesterday that, or recently, that we've gotten to a point now where AI has become more intelligent than human. So having that said, with the world that we're in now, it's very interesting to see this comic perfectly timed and aligned with what's happening in the world. So I absolutely loved it. I love the idea of again giving people hope, but also the problems of the military taking advantage of that hope, and then neurotechnology. There's so many great things about this story. I mean, initially I didn't know what to think. I was just kind of jumping in because I was like, Carl's my boy, wants me to read it, I'm there. And then the more that I read it, I was like, oh my God, I need more of this. It was so good, dude. Congratulations, you all.
Nice. I'm glad. Speaking of more of this is the cover to issue number 6.
Wow.
So good. What? It's a closing chapter. Sean, what was
bro? Who is that? That's so good.
what was the idea behind this, Sean? I mean, we go light art as well.
Well, I guess I had to get all the main players in, also get Daniel's face in there because I think he kind of disappears from the story in the second half because he's a robot. But yeah, I wanted to make it get all the main characters and make it atmospheric. So it was one of the hardest things to do when you're mixing like the heavy, hard technology and hardware, but also making it atmospheric. Like there's parts where there's like a mist or like their bodies kind of disappear. But I just trying to make a cool pose for each one of them and kind of get it all in one cover.
It's
awesome.
good stuff.
How much of it am I allowed to like say without giving anything away?
You have to talk about it. I think we're on the live stream. If people want to catch it and give them more of a reason to back the campaign, go for it. Let's talk about it.
There's that neural link, right, where the neurotransferability, where your neurological makeup is sent into. That's what they're hoping to create, right? This world where you're able to enter into these robotics, and I love the idea of like the permanent. Can they create it, make it permanent, and or is it just going to be just a link? Having that episode, that comic book cover 6, with the mist in the background after everything that's transpired, That is such a cool way of kind of being, are they inside the minds of these robots living as a conscious state, or are they separate? Like it's so beautiful, man. That was a really cool. Really, really. It leaves my mind wondering, like, oh, it's so good, dude.
I actually really like that
Thanks.
take. I didn't even think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, because remember when the daughter was taken in and she was whirling, like she's
Yeah.
whirling through and she's caught? Like that's the world they're in. It's like, it's that mist where it's like, how can you live as a human? Your soul's now trapped or confined, but then you've got this, whoever this dude is locked, like linked up to the system with the wires, man, he's looking terrifying.
Yeah,
Hmm.
remind me of a Weapon X. There's a Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X kind of
Yeah.
Are you talking about the comic cover or
it
just
wasn't a cover. I think it was a piece that he drew as like a promotional piece, and it was had Wolverine with like a lot of
with
wires.
all the wires and stuff? Okay,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking
What
about.
I
Yeah.
love about it too is it makes
When I, was-
me a
when I saw that, I was like, "Oh shit!" It reminded me of that.
he's being
Yeah.
controlled by by
Yeah.
the evil paramilitary corporations.
So Lo and Chris, you guys didn't get to meet Francis, but he's our campaign manager. He's been the guy, building the campaign and kind of running with it in charge. And it's cool too. I mean, Sean, speaking of Barry Windsor Smith, he was the guy who discovered you at the Comic-Con when you were showing portfolio. You want to share a little bit about that? Because I think you're very humble about it, but Barry doesn't have a lot of proteges, and you're one of them.
First, I just want to quickly say, because I have to pop back off and I'll be back in another hour, just how excited I am where we're at with the campaign so far. We're up to 63 backers. We're seeing some of the variant covers picked up, but a ton of people doing the catch-up tier and the full, the new set, the set of new comics, and we sold now all 3 of the commissions, so it's going great.
Awesome. Thanks, Francis.
Congratulations on the campaign, Francis. Dang it, I just missed them. Shoot.
Bouncing in.
Typical timing. Yeah, that happens.
Barry Windsor Smith storytelling time. So for you guys who don't know, Terry Kavanaugh, our executive editor, was on this morning, and Terry was the guy who was in charge of Marvel Comic Presents as editor, and he had brought on Barry with Weapon X, which was kind of the defining moment for Wolverine. And then, some years later, Barry came across Sean's portfolio. So Sean, would love to, I think, for everyone to hear your story there.
Well, for every artist that wants to break in, you kind of go to San Diego Comic-Con with a portfolio and a dream. So you show this stuff to a lot of artists to get hints on and advice on how to make your portfolio better. And then there's also a lot of editors there. So one of the first ones I guess that I showed my stuff to was Barry Windsor Smith at Valiant Comics. Because he was with Valiant Comics, and I think the publisher Steve Masarsi came around, and it was funny because I was talking to David Mazzucchelli from Daredevil Born Again fame, because he's been kind of mentoring me, and then the publisher of Valiant came around trying to hire David Mazzucchelli, but he says, like, I don't do that stuff anymore, but this Chinese kid here is pretty good. So he walked me over to the Valiant booth, and then I was really shocked because he says, like, I wanted you to speak to our art director, and it was Barry Windsor Smith, and that was like maybe like a couple months after I took a real deep dive into Weapon X, and it inspired me so much, just the way he drew, because he draws in a very like organic. A lot of comics look like the Buscema or Kirby look, but he drew like a pre-Raphaelite artist and like drew real people. So I got to show my portfolio to him. And initially it wasn't going that well because he was pointing out a lot of problems with my work, and then he was really saying like, "Oh, this is not going to work out here." But then when we got to the end of the portfolio review, he confessed that he was actually just trying to see whether I was teachable and whether I would take criticism.
Wow.
That's important.
He says, like,
That's very important.
Yeah. So he says, your portfolio is really great, and we'd like to start you on something. And I was like, well, what about all those bad things you said? But it's just thought it was a test just to see. There's a lot of artists have like an attitude, and you can't really work with them. But he said that everything was great. So I got my first job there. I mean, the first kind of handshake promise of a job And so I started on doing Ryan the Future Force from that point on. And so it was working with, I worked with him. I moved to New York and worked with him in the studio. Not too much because he wasn't there every day, but he came around for like a couple hours a day and kind of helped shepherd me along. And that story I tell a lot, but since then, like Barry Windsor Smith's his profile and the myth of the man has gotten bigger and bigger, and I can't believe that I actually worked with him, let alone have even met him, because a lot of people just have never met him. They know him through his work, and his work is timeless and it's amazing. So that was, the highlight, the beginning, and probably still the highlight of my career. And I guess the other highlight would be today, finishing Evermind and actually launching it. So.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I mean, look at Barry Windsor Smith's work on Wolverine. This is my friend Chris K's gallery, and I don't think this was ever published, but I felt like there was a spirit of Barry Windsor Smith in the way he did this number 6 cover. And then obviously he has this alternate cover for the last chapter of as well. So yeah, I agree. Geely, Sean is always way too humble. His work is outstanding. Amen.
Yeah, dude, that is so good. Now it makes me question, will that seemingly large antagonist become an anti-hero and join the team somehow? I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, I guess issues 1 through 3 has come out, and then I think people they can actually preview. You guys can preview issue 4, but yeah, 5 and 6. When it comes to writing endings, they always say good endings are always inevitable yet unexpected. So you can kind of, based on the story, kind of know where it's going, but then it's my job to make it unexpected, which is really weird because they're contradictory terms, and that's why writing is so difficult.
True.
Dude, you do
You
such a
guys
great
planning
job.
on doing like any other story after this, or because you said that this is the end of Evermind after issue 6, correct?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a lot of it's up to Carl, and then if someone writes it, maybe Daniel will take the lead on this one, because it's going to have to spin out of the events from issue 6, and I mean, I can't really say what happens, but we'll just say that the story arc ends, but the character arc can continue. And
Yeah.
I think we built a very rich world with like a lot of established lore that a lot can spin out of it. There's a lot of characters, and it's full of a lot of ideas, a lot of unique and novel ideas in the story that could, I would hate to confine it to 6 issues because you can kind of go a lot. And also, I invite anyone to bother Carl and pitch him your ideas that take place in
Carl.
All right, Lo might have a spin-off for us. And speaking of Daniel, he's back. So Daniel,
What's
so
up?
since you left, Christopher Sean, Mr.
Hey,
Ultraman
Chris.
himself, is
Pleasure, man.
joining
Honor
us.
to meet you.
Hey, man.
Good to
No,
see
but
you.
as I was saying though, because like and this is also, I don't know if I remember putting this in my review or not. I think I did, but this is almost like movie material, Evermind. Like that's actually one of the first thoughts that I thought of, like when I was reading this. I was like, this could easily be a kick-ass film. Like, and it's just because you guys give so much vision to it and there's so much backstory, as I've said before. And so hearing that it could possibly end at 6 issues, I'm like, oh, that's heart-wrenching, because like I actually want more all the time now. I'm completely hooked. And then I also am just like, okay, so how are we going to do this? Are we going to do off paper if this is just the end? If we just stop at issue 6, like, can I please see it on screen at least? I need more.
I actually love that idea. I mean, I'd be lying if we were creating content, without a vision to want to adapt the IP. But I really like what Lo just said about, maybe on screen it's a different story and an offshoot of what's on the comics. Because I think sometimes it could work better when you create for the medium. And I think that's the most powerful part about comics is you could seed the audience with a foundation for the story, and then you could expand from there sense. And when you don't have to do a one-to-one adaptation, we don't have to have people question, oh yeah, it's not like the comics, and we're like, no, it's beyond the comics. This is a whole new story. And Daniel, the reason I said we're talking about you is because Lo asked what if there will be a continuation, and then Sean was like, yeah, maybe Daniel could take over the reign for writing the next round.
That's all you.
Yeah. It would just be really cool, you know, like don't mind me. I'm just, you know, a reader who's enjoying the comic and would like to see more, but you know, don't take what I have to say into consideration.
No, I think we wanted to compartmentalize this into one thing first, but I think the potential is there to expand it beyond that, obviously. But we wanted to get this kind of first capsule of the first few issues done first, finish that story, take a breather, because Sean really really bust his ass on this one, right? And then to figure out what we're gonna do from there. But like Carl was saying, like, you know, part of the reason why I'm on board is that we're trying to create original IP to bring to either screen or animation or whatever. Because we're, you know, both Carl and I have dabbled in Hollywood, and we realize that like having your own IP is a very powerful thing instead of relying on
It
other
is.
people's IP or trying to purchase other people's IP. But having ownership in your own IP is very, very important. And so all of this, like, hopefully one day we can roll it into some other form of media.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And you said like even like an animated thing, that would be actually super sick. Because obviously, you know, you have shows like Invincible that is, you know, really successful. And I think it's honestly because it's just fully animated, because you can kind of just keep pushing boundaries of what CGI couldn't do. Not that CGI isn't doable, but a lot of the times it can come off quite corny depending on how
Yeah.
it's executed. So I think an animated series even would be super sick. Or
Yeah,
a film, since it is a short series.
I'm gonna drop a little Easter egg here. I'm working with a friend of mine who happened to be working on a software to help animate, you know, comics, and he wanted to do that. And so he came to me and goes, "Hey, do you know?" And I'm like, "I'm working on a comic right now." It makes perfect sense. So that's exciting because we'd like to create a new form of media that is kind of in between a comic book and animation. I think a lot of times animation is it goes a little overboard in terms of like how it's telling the story. That works too much on the effects and all that kind of stuff. And so we want to keep the story, keep the idea of a comic book, but add motion to it, to kind of
Right.
bring in a younger audience, a different audience, but also kind of refreshen what a digital comic could be. You know, because right now digital comic is really just a digital version of the paper thing, but like there's so much more it could be. It could have movement, it could have sound, it could have all these things that kind of enhance your reading experience. And so we're exploring that right now with my buddy in that software. So at some point we're going to reveal that.
Is
Oh,
your
that'd be
buddy's name
awesome.
Keith Aram?
No, Daniel Benjamin.
I was gonna say Keith is
Who's
doing something similar to that with his production company for a publishing company.
hmm
I don't know, man. That's awesome, dude. That's like such
The
a
Yeah,
race.
genius idea.
The race.
yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Whatever I can do to support you guys, though, I'm here for it, man. Carl's the man, and I've been a huge fan of you, Daniel, for I don't know, for a very, very long time. So
oh, thank
I'm
you,
kind of
man.
nervous that you're here now. I'm like,
Uh,
oh, am I
uh,
red? Like, what the heck?
are you talking about like from the Hong Kong days or
No, okay,
in,
so I saw you at Stone Soup in 2019. You were speaking
oh,
on stage, and you talked about your experience, how Jackie Chan brought you in, and
right.
you've just been killing it, and modeling and acting. And at that time, I think Into the Badlands was blowing up.
I,
Was it Into the
I remember
Badlands?
that
Another one?
night. That was the night before the shutdown. It was like
Yes,
the
it was a
Yes,
last
last event
last
before the
yes,
public
pandemic.
event
yes.
before the COVID shutdown. And I remember that night everyone was like, should we be wearing masks? Should we be doing this, doing that? And the next day everything shut down. It's kind of
Yeah, it was
crazy.
insane.
Yeah, Lo, we'll have to
Yes.
get you out to some of these events. We go to these events called Stone Soup. Our friend Patrick, who's the co-founder of Rotten Tomatoes, he hosts
Yeah.
these like intersections of like tech and entertainment, and it's like a really good space for just good people to network and build with. And
Well, and Patrick
different.
is also a huge comic book guy as well. So kind of,
Which is a bonus. Love
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I should have him come on our closing stream because he reads everything. He's like a ferocious comic book reader. And he's always asking me, "What should I read now? What should I read now?" And then I'll send it to him, and he'll be done in like a day. I was like, dude,
See,
this is
I wish I still had that. I have like a long box of comics. They're all new shit, and I have yet to read it. I just don't have time. I'm a mom. I'm a content creator. I've got all this stuff going on, and I'm just longingly looking at this long box, just being like, "There's got to be something good in there."
no, yesterday I literally just took all the stuff that was piled up and put
Yeah.
it into a short box as my modern recent reads. And I
Mhm.
don't know how he gets through it, man. He literally blasts through all the books and Saga in like 2 days. I think he finished the whole
What?
run.
2 days?
Saga.
Crazy.
That's a big.
That's a big run.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy, man. And so I just send him these stuff all the time. But he's really
That's
good. Man.
crazy.
I've just been lacking on that. But speaking of support, Chris, I mean, right now we're here. We're promoting the campaign itself. We're over half now of our goal of 8,000 and 5,000 now. So if anyone is streaming now, you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to send the link out to somebody. And then if you're just watching, you could also scan this QR code on top left. We're running a raffle with all kinds of promotions. There's a full-on preview with a ton of like day one specials. So I think that's that we're in the midst of it right now. We're in it, and it's been interesting because I think we're taking it a different direction with a lot of what's happening in the variant cover world, which we try to avoid for a long time, but we realize that's just what the comic book industry has become. I mean, we got a cool quote from Kevin Van Hook. Take 1 brilliant scientist on a mission to make longevity, maybe even mortality, a dream. His activist daughter, throw in a theme park with robotic gorillas and fairy tale princesses, remotely controlled by real people, and add more than a touch of billionaires lusting for fat government contracts to build an unstoppable army of robotic warriors, and you get a recipe for smart sci-fi that's a blast to read. Sean Chen and Daniel Wu's Evermind is a brilliantly written and drawn series, and I'm proud to say that I have front row seats to watch it being created. This is Kevin Van Hook, creator of Bloodshot and Ninjak for Valiant. And
Ninjak.
yeah,
I love Ninjak so much.
he was a consulting editor for us for the first 3 issues, and then Terry joined the team and took over from there. So that was a really powerful quote from him as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sean, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. I'm on my phone. My battery died. So you guys can hear me okay and everything?
We can hear you okay. There we go. Look at this guy. What's on that, man?
That's some
No,
good
no.
old 90s content right there.
Talking about
Let's
Valiant.
see, where is that? Let's see it. Let me highlight you real quick.
There it
Nice.
is.
Oh,
You got
bro,
Rye
like-
too.
Whoa.
What?
Right, but like, I'm a huge fan of like
Wow.
Valiant right now. It's so much
Valiant
fun.
90s comics was just such a great era of
So
comics.
sick. So sick.
Mhm. Those foil covers too. Oh god.
You have two of my favorites, Chris. It's Archer and Armstrong and Eternal Warrior. Those
Oh, they're
books.
so good. The Eternal Warrior franchise has been so just, it's a classic, man. Always will be.
Mm.
And that's how I feel about Evermind. I really feel like it takes some of my favorite comics, some of my favorite lore. Like, I was a huge Transformers fan. You guys make a joke about one of the characters calling him Megatron in the comic, which was hilarious because you can't not, give a little nod to the classics, but you do that, and I thought that was brilliant. I think Beast Wars with Optimus Prime was one of my absolute favorites growing up too. Now you've got a gorilla being a father, protecting his beautiful daughter. Genius, man! Like the way you guys tie in family. At first, I really thought Daniel Wu's character, Zhang, is his name?
Yeah,
Zhang?
Dr. Zhang, yeah.
Dr. Zhang. I thought Dr. Zhang was going to become evil and bad and turn his back against the Gen Z daughter, and I thought everything was going to go chaotic in that aspect. I also thought that Gen Z, when her consciousness was put into, I don't know if I'm allowed to say all this. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just really fanboying right now. It's a really good story. But I wasn't sure where you guys were going to go when her consciousness was put into Neuralink. But, yeah, Neuralink through, but like again, like permanently, right? Not just the connection. It was permanently placed. So once that happened, I was like, she's gonna be angry and she's gonna hate him even more, and but she accepted it. She was like, you saved my life. I understand what you're doing. I understand you and what you've been working on. and let's work together to stop them from doing it and hurting other people. It's like, oh God, so good, man. Family always wins. I love them.
By the way, we had Neuralink way before Elon Musk announced Neuralink. So
I actually was, when I was reading that, I did make that connection, and I was like, didn't Elon Musk try to attempt this? I don't even know. The last thing I heard was
he's doing it.
see, I haven't heard much about it. I know that there was the one guy that got it planted in him, but I is he alive? Like, do we? I haven't heard. Yeah. Is he just like a mind-numbing robot monkey now?
I think
like...
there's a few. I think there's a few people now. A few people
Is
now
there?
that does it. Yeah, like a handful of people
Ballsy.
Very.
Yeah.
Tip my hat to those brave people, I guess.
I think they're all known as X-Men now.
Yes, they're just mutants now. Yeah.
That's the next season of X-Men '97. It's
One
gonna
of
be
them's got telekinesis.
from Neuralink.
Oh God.
Elon Musk shows up. He's bald. He's in a wheelchair. He's like Professor X.
We have a question from California Comics. Will we see Christopher Sean in a future 24/7 comic? Oh,
hey, listen.
I don't know.
Honestly, Daniel Wu is like top tier.
Oh,
Did we lose him?
Perfect moment to freeze.
Top tier.
You guys see this, guys? Ultraman said Daniel Wu is top tier.
and I'm a huge fan of Ultraman. Like since I was a little kid. There's
Oh,
you're
there
back.
you
You're back. There you are. You
All
cut
right,
out.
sorry.
You cut out for a second.
I was talking about how amazing Daniel Wu's career and how his potential continues to rise, and here I am as a whack-a-mole, bro. I'm barely peeking my head, dude.
You've done some really cool stuff. I was just saying how Ultraman has been one of my favorite things since I was a little kid. So, like putting your voice to that and all that is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, who doesn't love Ultraman?
Oh no, we lost him again. I was just about to ask him a question from an actor's point of view. Oh, hey, so I want to ask you a question from an actor's point of view, because we really wanted to base this story on character, and that's what every actor, when you're looking at a script, right? Is this exposition dialogue? Is this just plot driven, or is this a character piece, right? And we really wanted to be about this character piece about a father and daughter. The tech and all this other stuff is the packaging around this whole story. But how did that resonate with you as an actor reading it versus as just a regular comic book fan?
Are we delayed?
Is there a delay? It might be a delay.
Oh no.
Chris, are you there?
I think it played all the strings in my heart.
Oh.
And my mind, because like I said, it's so many twists I didn't expect. But in reference to character development, you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Dude, I'm having technical. The Spectrum vans out front, they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
I think you're in the same area as Francis, because Francis did say he was warned that Spectrum was down today.
Sorry, guys. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
We can see you punching.
This for me.
No, you're
my one chance to meet
you're
Daniel Wu and Sean. What the heck's going on, man?
It's all right.
It's all right. All right. Well, Chris, figure that out. Let's bring on another guest.
But I'll try to make this as quick as possible.
Actually,
I think it plays the intellectual and my heartstrings as an actor and a comic.
Oh no, I think we're about to lose him. All right. So in the meantime, let's introduce our friend Casey Lau.
What's up, Casey?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Welcome.
Yep.
We could hear you fine, and you
Awesome.
are a fellow comic geek. And when we started talking about who should we have on that would appreciate and read comics ferociously, you were one of the first one that came to mind, alongside Patrick Lee, who's I think traveling right now. But welcome, man. Do you know Daniel already? Because you were in Hong Kong for a number of years, right?
Daniel and I have never met, but I know all his friends that are in Hong Kong. Yeah.
When were you in Hong Kong?
Great to meet you online, Daniel. Oh, I've been there for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
I know all your Alive Not Dead guys and
Oh,
Patrick
wow.
and Rafi
Patrick
and
and
all
all
those
everybody.
guys.
Yeah, we were just talking about
Yeah.
them. Are you in Hong Kong right now?
No, I'm in San Francisco actually right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Casey
cool.
runs a large tech conference, but also an
Yeah.
avid comic book fan. Casey, please meet Lo, meet Sean, and
everybody.
I think Chris will be back. I'm not sure, but everyone meet Casey.
Cool. Carl, thanks for having me on your launch stream. It's exciting to be here. Yeah, I'm in San Francisco right now because there's a big tech week happening here, and a lot of people are in town talking all things tech and AI and things like that. So, but I do have some questions for the guys. Carl, is that what you want me to do? I want me to just
Please do jump in. I mean, yeah, if you have questions, let's do it. We've been diving in, and I think we
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you guys have gone over all the creating of the comic and things like that. So I've got like 3 very specific questions that I'm very interested in around what you guys are doing and how you're building it. I come from like the creator side, from inspiring other creative people to kind of get into doing what you guys do, like making comics, making animations, things like that, besides just tech startups. And so I guess my first question I have 3 questions, and I hope we can get to all of them. But my first question is, so as Carl said, I've been a comic book fan for a long time, like a long time. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, so I actually worked at a comic book store growing up. And when I moved to Hong Kong, I would pay those outrageous import fees for American comics there. So it's just crazy. And I came back to Vancouver at the beginning of the pandemic, right? And I was there for when Diamond collapsed, right? So Diamond is the major distributor for comic books. Every Wednesday, or it used to be every Friday, but every Wednesday, they would deliver all the new Marvels and DCs into every comic shop around the world. Even in Hong Kong, they would get them, which is incredible. And so they collapsed during the pandemic, and as we all know, it's kind of not really come back strongly. And you guys, for instance, have decided to go, and a lot of other creators are going through the Kickstarter crowdfunding route. So I was wanting to get some of your advice and your opinions on what you learned doing Kickstarter, doing crowdfunding, and what is that? I don't know if anybody's asked this question yet, but I'm just like very curious to see, because I see a lot of people are doing it now. Mark Miller, another huge comic book creator, he sold his company to Netflix, Miller World, and now he's got another comic company where he's just doing side hustle comics on Kickstarter for other properties he wants to create and do. So I'm just thinking like this is the new route for creators doing comics. But maybe what did you guys learn doing this, and what do you kind of want to tell other people who want to try and do it as well?
Right back. You guys take this question.
Well, I mean, from a creator standpoint, I do the writing and then the art and the co-creating. But when it comes to finding a way to get the comic to the people or to the stores, that's really a Carl thing. I know that with as a comic book creator, the Marvel and DC were like the big houses that you kind of like cut your teeth and you work your way through the system. But then eventually, they don't really, like, everyone's career has a little bit of a bell curve with Marvel and DC. Eventually you get the other side and you got to find like, well, now it's time to actually create IPs and take control over the story as an artist, to take control of the story. And you kind of look at the landscape out there, like where can we put it out? So this is when Carl came along and he kind of formulated the plan. So Kickstarter is, I've only done one before, which is like the first half of the story. So now we're doing the complete collection in this Kickstarter. It's kind of a wild ride. Like, I know, like, one thing I learned is that leading up to the Kickstarter, you have to like really promote it a lot. And it's just a whole different hat that I'm wearing. Like, I'm either writing or drawing, and then all of a sudden you go into promotion mode. You can never promote too early, and then you can never really promote too much, much to the dismay of all of my social media followers. Probably like really sick of me talking about this for the past couple years. But I'm trying to, I hope if they're good friends of mine, they'll understand that that this is something, this is how I have to pay the bills. So I got to push this out there to any new people. But Kickstarter has kind of come up as the way to go when you go independent, because you can't really, and you shouldn't really stay at Marvel and DC forever. You got to like take control of your future. And Kickstarter's kind of emerged as the place to do it. It's like the biggest crowdfunder out there, and it has their own community. But I think, Carl probably can talk a little bit more about getting into the weeds of Kickstarter. But It's just the home for people who have kind of either can't get into Marvel and DC or have graduated from it.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, I know Dan, you haven't done comics before. This is your first comic, so maybe the question for you more is like, you know, I've seen like a lot of movie studios are starting to ask their actors to make sure they have some sort of social media profile to start promoting the films, right? Do you get that kind of? Are you seeing that a lot as well in your circles?
You mean as an actor or as a?
Yeah, as an actor, more like in the Hollywood business.
Yeah, I think maybe not so much for me, someone who's been around a long time. I think the
Okay.
younger actors definitely for sure.
Okay.
You see people getting chosen because they have like a large following on social media or something like that. And so someone who has a smaller resume that is becomes more helpful, I think, because I mean, honestly speaking, now if someone has followers, that means that those are people that are going to go buy tickets to watch them in the theater, right?
Right.
Or watch your show. So it's a metric for a lot of the studios to go by. And going back to that Kickstarter question, I think, this is a way for us to reach out directly to people,
Got it.
right? There's no middleman. It's a lot more work on our side because we have to do the marketing and everything by ourselves, but you
Right.
feel more invested in it, right?
Yeah.
And so when they become successful or when we get a bunch of followers, we're really excited about that. And people that are into the comic and support the Kickstarter and then get it and then really fall in love with it. That's such a satisfying feeling, right? As opposed to like the old method where you rely on a publisher, they put it in the store, it's selling, you don't know how much it's really
Right.
selling,
Right.
all that stuff. And it becomes this nebulous black hole that you're not 100% sure
Right.
about. Whereas with
Right.
this, we control it all and we can
Yeah.
see it all. And it just is much more satisfying knowing that we're actually putting it in people's hands.
Right. Right. So you guys are liking this kind of entrepreneurial publishing concept then?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, Carl knows all the legwork you guys are doing on the side to promote and get this going is a lot. But I think that's the way to go for independent comics these days.
Yeah. Carl, what do you want to jump into?
Yeah, no, any independent IP, I think it's not just comics, but even in the film TV space, it's really hard to introduce a new title that people aren't familiar with. I think even with the growth of the streamers with Netflix, Amazon, they have so much data now. So
Yeah.
to them, the first thing they do, back in the day, they listen to your pitch, right? And oh, that sounds cool. Now the first thing they do is they turn to the other monitor and they do a quick search, and they have the research department come back with all these reports. And by the time you're done with your pitch meeting, you have reports on everything you're pitching on, your story, like how is that vibe with the internet? How does the characters or actors you have attached, like was there like approximate like click through time on a Netflix movie? Like all that
Right.
stuff is available.
Right.
So I think decision making has completely changed, and without presence online, it's really hard for a streamer to even want to commit to any project you're attached to. So it's been very interesting to just watch the evolution of it all. And I don't know, maybe with a lot of the new, and why I love the horror genre right now, as far as independent filmmaking goes, is because it actually does allow a lot of room for original ideas. Like Weapons was a big one, and
I just watched that for the first time last night.
right, well, what a fun one, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of new stuff coming out, and even Strangers, they shot all three at once, and the second one's like it's a little extended and there's a little much, but there are all these original concepts coming out in that genre, which isn't really happening anywhere else. All the blockbuster stuff is just rehashes of franchises that works because those are the only things that could provide the data to get the green lights, and unfortunately it's not really working anymore. So I think studios are rethinking their strategy.
Interesting. And then for 24/7, you've done a lot of these so far, these Kickstarters so far. And so I guess you're pretty much set on this, right? This is the new format for you. You don't need to really go to Diamond or Lunar or any of these distributors to get the books out.
Well, what's funny is this Kickstarter is going to be our last one before we actually go to solicitations to get the books out to the masses. Because I realized, when we first started this comic book publishing company, we were really like tech, kind of a tech mentality, and was thinking, oh, what's the 1, 2, 3 year plan? But what I realized with the comic book industry is if you were to kind of rewind the clock, Marvel, the biggest IP, house in the world at this point for this type of content, took them 30 plus years, maybe 40, 50 years to get it right.
Right.
And so for us, we were being very ambitious, but the more I've gotten to know the whys, the more I realize that our business plan has to be more like a 5, 10, 20-year plan for some of this stuff to come to fruition. I think with the new technologies that's out there today, we'll be able to move faster than our kind of predecessors. But to think we could, really turn things around within the 1 to 3 years time frame was definitely a learning experience. So we're essentially 5 years in now with this whole publishing house, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. And a lot of it has to do with just the community itself. Going to Comics Pro the last 2 years, you're realizing, and in a way, I don't know if I think I told Sean this, I mean Christopher this when we were on our trip. Reminds me a lot of Hollywood. I think in Hollywood, I think it takes about a decade to kind of break down the walls and be able to meet the folks that are in charge. And really, it's about apprenticeship and learning under certain folks that shows you the ropes. And comics is very similar. I mean, the room was full of 60, 70-year-olds that are behind the scenes pulling the strings. And in a way, as a new publisher, I have to go and kiss the ring over and over again to ensure I get the proper blessings to get our books in the stores. And once we're in stores, these are actually the ultimate kind of modern day curators and modern day librarians for folks coming to consume this type of content. So yeah, I'm gonna go kiss the rings every year going forward, just to get our creators' books into the stores, because that's pretty much what it takes. Because from the stores is then that one step towards like the mass market, which is like the big box retailers like Barnes and Nobles, etc. Which is awesome, by the way. If you guys haven't been in Barnes and Nobles recently, it's like a freaking experience. It's like super packed, long ass lines of people waiting for books. It's a thing. So definitely go check out your local Barnes and Nobles. They've been on the hockey stick growth this last year.
Bro, I was just there the other day with my fam checking out books. It's always fun. But I was gonna say your experience kind of parallels Dr. Zhang's experience, Daniel's character in the book, meaning how he wanted to be part of the institution, and they were against him joining because he was too smart, pushing the idea of science and humanity a little too far. And then they were like, "Hey, man, you got to kiss the rings if you're gonna be part of the institution." You know,
It's hard. It's hard.
similar, man.
It's a
Or
balance.
you got to cut us a piece.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I did love, I wanted to just chime in with your question that you asked earlier, Daniel, as you asked, as an actor looking at this, the character, the arc that you had, the Dr. Zhang, your character, was so cool because he was about, with his ex-wife and creating, he was about like creating something great. And then he started kind of going into this world where no one really understood. It was beyond them. And then everyone started turning against him. So he became the lone wolf in this world. And what I did love was that he was very reactive. It was a very honest reaction when they said, "You're not going to join the institution." He was like, "All right, fuck you, bro." Excuse my language. He was like, "I'm going to go home. And you know what? I'm going to get this tech going. And then I'm going to watch you die." Like, and then his partner was like, "Yeah, that's what's up. Like, that's so cool." To watch that, it was a very like, it was just real. I loved that. And then that's why I thought later in the story, when his daughter kind of against him, I thought that, and he wasn't going to save her. I thought he was just going to be like, "It doesn't matter," and to see that transition to where it's no longer about the legacy of my research and whatever you want to call that stain on consciousness and and life. It's more about family and taking care of her and being the father I always wanted to be, that I wish that I had with my dad, because you guys go into that backstory with his parents as well, having his brilliant mind. I just thought that was so freaking cool, and what a great character you have. Like, holy cow. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, part of the development, like we were thinking beyond the comic book. If this becomes a series or an animation or a movie or something like that, we have to have characters that people want to play, you know. And so that's what I brought to the table in terms of helping, develop these characters, is trying to make sure that these are characters that are compelling, that you understand them, you understand their path, you relate to them, you understand what they're going through. And we spoke earlier, me and Sean, about how a lot of this stuff is personal. Some of it's personal. It's personal to us, and not exactly. Me and Sean are not creating a Neuralink right now, but we both are girl dads, right? We both are fathers of daughters, and we understand that relationship and how tenuous that can be, especially since I have a teenage daughter right now, 13, almost going to 13, and how crazy that can be. And so we wanted to put in elements that actors want to play these roles if we do get to that stage. And then every character is compelling. Again, when I look at a script, I'm looking at not just my character, but all the other characters, and is this a compelling story or not? And if the core is something universal that we can all relate to, beyond just a plot-driven narrative.
Mhm.
Also, I one thing I did love was you guys talked about the what was the fighting gene? What was that?
That's good.
So I
Sean,
was just
fighting
at the
gene.
last bookstore yesterday, and the aggressive gene, I can't remember it. They literally had a book on that saying. So as I was reading the comics last night after I'd gotten home, I was like, holy cow, I just saw this book that you guys have. You guys have done some research, man. This is really smart.
Yeah, Sean, talk about that element of the story.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of didn't hear what exactly it was referring to.
He was talking about the aggression gene that the characters
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Because remember we
Well,
talked at length
it's
about
me.
this.
Well, I was a kind of a curious kid growing up, and I watched a lot of Discovery Channel. So I know this thing out there called the warrior gene, which
That's
is in a lot of like particularly men and primates have it, and sometimes you can kind of like it's in some of the strangest people, like when they're just normally calm you wouldn't really know it, but then when they get angry they just flip out. And I just needed something in the story, because there's a difference between neuralink and then neurotransfer. So neurotransfer is basically the gateway to immortality, but I couldn't have the technology finished and ready to go. There always had to be some sort of hitch that they're working on, so he's like working on and working on it. And then I guess the idea is that it would make the villains not just like, bad people, but just like crazy bad people. So when he has to go hunt them down and stop what's going on, they almost have like a Hulk, like, they become the Hulk. And so a lot of times those people who are in certain professions tend to have this kind of an aggressive gene. And most time it's in check, but you'll see them a lot in like the military, or just like people who are like get into fights a lot. They have the latent warrior gene, and
High power
it has some,
CEOs.
yeah, exactly.
type A
So
personalities.
Yes.
when people read the story, they think like, wow, this guy knows a lot about science, but it's just really just me like watching the Discovery Channel and only having a very surface understanding of all this stuff, enough to put it into a science fiction story. But then you use like a lot of like terminology. You go into Wikipedia, you search it up, and the warrior gene is sort of a nickname, but it has like a real, like a scientific name, and you put it in there, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks you're a genius. But it's just it's just writing fiction.
There was literally a book on the warrior gene yesterday when I was at the store, and that's why it was just so. I thought, wow, man, this is so cool how you guys have already put in such. It just seemed like very intelligent. Again, with what's happening with AI and the Neuralink, actually with Elon Musk, and then now the warrior gene, explaining it properly. Like all of it made sense. This world that you guys have created has such a strong foundation, and the cool part about it is it's difficult to watch humans hurt humans, but when the warrior gene has taken over, they do become animalistic, barbaric. They're no longer this rational mindset. So it's fun to watch heroes take down these crazed lunatics. I think you guys have done a great job of separating that humanity. It's really, really awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's interesting
Thanks.
to highlight that it's really it's not the tech, it's the ego behind the tech, or the ego using the
Right.
tech, that really is destroying humanity, right? Like if we talk about AI, it could be so helpful, but if we let it amok or it's in the wrong hands, it becomes something totally different, right? And so that's one of the subjects that we're exploring in this, is that Dr. Zhang he's an ego. He wants to succeed in this, and then he gets taken advantage of. People see other things in what he's developing, and then want to take that for their advantage, and then it's all these egos in the end fighting for what they think is the best use of this technology.
What do you guys think about excuse me, the Gen Z, your daughter's friends who she meets up with? Uh, was it Sear? Seal? Maybe
Oh
I'm
yeah.
mistaken. Is
Well,
that the right name?
I guess the idea is that just to make her the opposite of her father, like her father is a guy who's using technology very recklessly. And in order to get that real gulf and divide between father and daughter, the daughter actually, since science is sort of like the family business, you know, mom and daughter and father all use science, but they use it in different ways. Like he's doing something bad with it because it feeds his ego. And then his daughter is kind of the opposite, where she's sort of like in that organization that is sort of like a watchdog group that makes sure that science is used ethically by corporations. And you know that just keeps them on the opposite side of the spectrum. So the idea there is that they're so far apart that you know what's going to bring them together. But yes, she's you know a lot of times like I have a daughter. They're very idealistic. A lot of like young girls can be like the tree huggers and want to save every animal. And then and as an adult guy, like you kind of see technology as a means to like build an empire. So it's they're kind of just like have that weird dynamic. And yeah, so I mean, I had to create a kind of an activist group that doesn't really exist because we know like there's Greenpeace and PETA and what they do, but this is sort of like a new sort of thing I had to make up. And this is like a bunch of kids that that try to keep corporations honest about how they're using technology. And her job in that group is to be the technology advisor. Like she'll look at the technology and say like, well, this corporation is using this technology in a bad way. And then there's like everyone else in that group they do the actual the field work. So she's sort of like the person that is the science consultant. And you know, I hope it works because we're creating groups that don't exist, and hopefully you get the idea of what they're all about.
I think it works great because it is. I mean, art reflects life, and right now the next generation is that wave that's fighting against these corporations, is fighting against capitalism, that's fighting against so many of these. They're activists fighting for their future, and what we have now is falling apart for them. They won't have a future, so it parallels again our reality now. I think it's really smart, and I'm really excited to see more of those characters and that team. And you know, I think they're really cool and good looking too.
Be fun.
Well, you know, Evermind is 6 issues, and this story arc is complete. It took so long for me to write and draw a lot of this stuff. So this is one of those things where I pass the torch, and I hope Daniel does continues the story. But anyone is free to pitch ideas. The story has like a lot of ideas in it. You know, I don't have the time to kind of write different stories because I can only do one at a time. So there's a lot of ideas in the story. There's like maybe 5 like really interesting ideas that you can spin off stories out of. So anyone who has a time and an idea, just bother Carl about it. Get your own artist, and then continue the story by all means.
Yeah, we have a really good take from like a female writer actually that came to me and supposed to be circling back with us. But yeah, I think it'll be more about the kind of the kind of pleasure bought story in the world, and so I kind of like it. I think it's gonna be a really cool take on everything. So Casey, who's our professional resident podcast host here, what else do you got for us? Any other questions for the fellows?
Yeah, I got more. So let's talk a little bit about Sean. I first discovered your work on the Iron Man series. I'm sure when you were drawing, you never thought he would become like the most famous Marvel character in the world, which is just crazy when you look back at it if you're an OG comic fan. But back then you worked with Writer, right, with a writer, and they would write scripts and give it to you, and you just draw it. Maybe talk a little bit about how you go, like, how did you tackle those, like, Marvel comics when you were, like, I don't know, 20 years ago now, right, or longer, and then working with Daniel and, like, developing this new series.
I guess there's a lot of comic book artists out there who are just kind of okay with being the artist. I think for me, stories, whether it's in movies or books or in comics, like if there's a really good story, it hits me harder than it would most people. A lot of times when I go see a movie, if it really moved me, it kind of sticks with me for a while. Right. Whereas like the rest of the guys I go see the movie with kind of just move on and,
right.
like, what's for dinner. But for me, it just kind of sticks in my head. And so I just was always fascinated by story. And so then I've always kind of dabbled in it. Like I think there's that famous writing workshop that comes around. It's very expensive, like the Robert McKee class. I took that maybe 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And never really intending to write, but just because I was like a big old process junkie. Just wondering how, when people create these stories, how do they make me feel the way they make me feel at the end? And then it was just very fascinating how you can really hijack someone's heartstrings and make them feel things, and then you can kind of convince them about how you think they should be living their lives by kind of illustrating in a story. So that was like kind of a lifelong obsession with me, and I didn't really know what I was gonna do with it. But then, my separate job is just to draw comics for Marvel. So I work with the writer of Iron Man, the writer of Wolverine, the writer of X-Men. And, so a lot of times those stories didn't make me feel the way that certain movies did, but that was, it was really about just the drawing. So I kind of can really separate the two. So there comes a time when you kind of finish up your time at Marvel. And then the path is to actually create your own intellectual property. So then that kind of like combined my love for writing, but it's a bit daunting because this is my first real writing project, and I was like, I need help. I need editors, I need writing partners, and luckily, like people came in and filled those roles, and it's much more collaborative, because in comics a lot of times you just get a script, like the editor says, like the script is ready, and you get it. And then you draw it, and there's really no conversation with the writer unless you meet him at a comic convention. So this is much more collaborative and much more personal, and it takes a lot more time, because when you work for Marvel and DC, you have 1 month to draw the book. But when you create your own story, luckily Carl said it's done when it's done, which is great to hear. And then I drew comics in the 90s, so financially I'm okay. So I don't have to worry about putting food on the table by drawing all the time. So this project, because I was writing it, I'll write it like a screenplay or a novel and give it way more attention than it needs, because that's not what comics are for, because you're really out to just do what you can do in 1 month. But this one took a couple of years. And you collaborate with the people you want to, and then the story is done when you think it's done, and it's a lot more concentrated with a lot more personal stuff, and a lot better stuff, better art and better writing, because the time horizon was longer, and then we didn't have to worry about the money thing or the deadline thing, or just like the corporate involvement thing. So Carl a lot of times would just give me a blank canvas to write whatever, and then bring in whoever, and then we just kind of collaborate, and then so this came out of it. So it's a very different experience.
Very cool. Very cool. Carl, you're gonna put a lot of this process stuff in the back of the book, the trade paperback?
There will be. There's gonna be a premium that will have all those extra process stuff. But one thing I want to do is also welcome Andy from Bad Future Comics, fellow Kickstarter producer as well, and Andy, welcome to the crew, the launch party. We're here. And I thought this was time to also show, kind of follow up to Casey's question, how did Sean survive all these years? And, I think what's really special is he had a skill set a lot of us don't have.
Gosh.
He created this video. Like this video that you guys have seen that went viral, this was one of Sean's creations, and
Oh, wow.
I think that might be some of your best work. This is incredible.
And a collaboration, because without
Yes.
the squirrel, that's like nothing,
Nature.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna sneak
joined.
out of here,
I
Carl.
noticed Sean said a very
Okay, guys.
interesting thing. I worked for Marvel and DC back in the 90s, so I have money. So it's like, why? What
He's
happens
doing it, he's
now?
doing it.
Yeah.
And you have this, and then you have these that also went viral, which is huge.
Oh, wow. Here, let me.
I think you guys have seen these before.
No, amazing.
And to me, Sean, and why him and Daniel actually get along really well, and they didn't mention this earlier, is they both came from architectural backgrounds, and so they're
I
both
didn't know that.
big on just building foundations for stories, and even little things like this that has gone viral. And I think, how many have you sold of these now, Sean? Because you were selling these for a while too, right?
Oh yeah, hundreds. So if you wonder why issue 4 took so long, it's because I spent a lot of time cutting paper. But one thing I want to say about, like, these are a lot of things that I did that it went viral, and I got to say that where this stuff comes from is not people are just like born able to do this. This came from like wanting to create comics and not being able to draw, wanting to make toys but not being able to do it. I would just try over again. And that's one thing that worries me about AI, is that, like, it's the struggle and just like the kind of like a very bulldog approach to just grabbing onto something and not giving up until you've achieved and made stuff. And it gives you this kind of a brain that's like a very powerful supercomputer that you can think creatively and also execute. And that came from just a lack of AI just solving problems for you.
Right.
So
Right.
I think, AI is great for corporations when they need to make money now. But then if you're a creator, I would say probably get rid of it, because when you build your brain to a point where it can actually conceive of ideas and actually execute on them, that comes from just a lot of the struggle coming up from the very low ranks and working your way up. And then you can cross different platforms and do creative things in all different realms. And so those are just examples of stuff that I did outside of comics that I think were successful, and was only possible because I had to struggle and make things from scratch, from whole cloth, and not rely on a lot of the technology we have today. So.
Interesting. I gotta bounce, everybody, but I just wanted to ask one last question before I jumped off. And I guess Sean and Carl, it's for you guys. What's the digital comics concept going forward? I've read Evermind digitally, and I want to know, like, what do you guys think? Because I see a lot more digital platforms coming online, distributing comics. What is it? Global Comics has a like a Netflix type subscription model.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys looking at in terms of the digital comics reach and output?
I would love to hear from the whole panel. I mean, me personally, I think it's inevitable. I feel like we're definitely in a place where, digital comics is becoming a thing, but I don't think the business model has really been cracked yet. Where I think a good direction has been is what our friends at Vivi has been doing. They're selling them like digital collectibles in a closed environment with official licenses from the publishers, so that the publishers are actually partaking in the sales and resale of the IP. And then I think for things like Comixology and Global Comics, I think it's really hard to have a one-to-one parallel translation to how comics are consumed online. I think you have to think differently when it comes to digital. So I do enjoy seeing new models. I think Neon Ichiban is a new one that's from the guys who created Comixology that recently launched, that's similar to Vivi. I think they definitely lean in more on the independent side. But yeah, I would love to hear from the rest of the panel on what their thoughts are. That was a great question, Casey.
I mean, it is funny. We're on the cusp of, well, it seems like we've been on the cusp for 10 years, but it reminds me a lot like when TV came out, everyone said movies would die out. And, when movies happened, everyone said radio would die out, and it didn't happen, but it changed. I think there's a specific format. Like, I get a lot of comics in PDF form, and you feel like, okay, this is a physical object that's been squished into a digital format. And it's not as good of an experience, at least for me, although shoot, I'm old. But then you'll see webtoons where they're actually like using the physicality of the scroll to like mess with time and narrative, and it's very, what's the word, native to the format, and they're doing great and interesting things. So I think, I don't know, I think as it evolves, you will have comics that are best as a physical object, and comics that work best as something native, like on Webtoons or Tapas or something like that. But it's an interesting time because the visual language of digital comics is still evolving.
No, I 100% agree. Because like as a physical collector myself, I still have, you know, DVDs and stuff like that. So I personally like the physical things. But I also understand that there's also a lot of states, you know, especially in the United States, that don't have local comic shops and don't have easier access to a physical copy. So I think even though me personally, I will always go physical, I think it's a cool opportunity for people who don't have the access, you know, or let's say, you know, for smaller indie comics, not every comic shop is going to be able to gain access to smaller titles. So it gives it more of a bigger reach for anything that's trying to be on the up, you know?
That's insane that you just said that not every city in America has a comic shop. They used
Yeah. Used to, but like, you
Few of
know,
them.
I used to work at a comic shop, and we would get people coming all the time being like, Leah, it's just not big where I'm at. Like it's just non-existent. And I'm just like, wow, that's
Crazy.
kind of crazy because I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, and it's heavy on the comic community
Oh
there.
yeah.
Las Vegas, also very heavy in the comic
Yeah.
community here. We just had like 3 more stores open up. So, you know,
Wow.
Wow.
for us, it's a bit different. And, you know, hearing that is kind of jarring because, you know, coming from somebody who, again, physical copy collector, I'm like, that's kind of sad because, like, especially if you're into the hobby. And also the most fun part about comic shopping, in my personal opinion, is the hunt, right? You want to be able to go in through all the back issue bins and see what you can find, discover something new, maybe trying to find that key that you've been looking for forever. That's the fun of comic collecting. And when I hear people don't have that opportunity, it kind of just breaks my heart a little bit, you know? It's just, but digital, I think it's very useful in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Great.
Great question, Casey. Thanks for
Thanks, man.
being with us today. Where can people find you guys before you go?
Are we all going to New York Comic Con?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're making me
Yeah.
so jealous.
All right, let's do it.
Lo, are you gonna be there? Andy, I'm guessing you're not.
No, but hey,
No.
I just did LA Comic Con, and then like I think it was another, and Rose City Comic Con. So you know,
Yeah,
I should
Rose
be
City,
happy with what I
Portland.
have, you know.
Awesome. Well, Casey, thanks for your time with us.
Okay,
Please,
thanks guys. Great to meet you. Good luck with the
Thank you,
launch.
Casey.
I'll talk to you
keep
guys
the
soon.
recording on so we can upload your recording, and then we'll see you soon, Casey.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. So we're back. Let's do a quick visit to our campaign at the stage. We are now at 5555. Woo!
Wow.
Almost there. 2/3. I mean, it's interesting. Given I was a little worried about Kickstarter being on strike, that we have like $100 by the time this time came around. So pretty happy with the momentum. France is going to be
71 backers. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, 71 backers. But yeah, I think you know, with all said and done, with the platform being on strike and none of the team members around, we're doing okay on our own. So as an extra ask to everyone watching today, please do scan that QR code on the top left, or just pass our link around, because we need your help more than ever. With Kickstarter being on strike, I think there's a lot of usual marketing support mechanisms that aren't happening today. But it's our day one of 30, and we'll be going up until Thursday, November 6th, I believe. And so you'll see all this here. And, you know, maybe we could dive into the tiers. I mean, Francis, now that we have you here, a lot of the Kickstarter design was based on a lot of your recommendations and research. And Andy, now you being a Kickstarter expert yourself, would love to have you all chime in on this. Obviously, day one backers get the bonus on a lot of these tiers. Sean, Daniel, one of the signing assignments the team gave to me is I'm bringing a stack of prints to you guys on Saturday to sign between our breaks. But it'll be these day one incentives for people who back today. we'll have these limited prints that will be signed by Sean and Daniel to be shipped with your order today. And then second, everyone who backed today will have your name in our thank you forever page. And then let's see, Francis dropped off and came back on. So Francis, feel free to take over. And then we mentioned Vivi last. Oh, your background noise is a little loud, Francis. Well, I'll kind of speak on that.
I know, yeah, and also my connection's not great, so I'm a little nervous to jump in and try to take over. But as you said, it's a little.
Oh, good. I got this
as well.
So we have a silver and bronze mecha that's going to be dropping digitally on Vivi this coming Friday. And there's a cool video that they made already that I got to preview. But to get the gold version, you could back us on day one, and you'll not only get the gold version of the mecha, you'll also get a gold version of Evermind number 4, which also drops on Thursday at New York Comic Con. And then going through the reward tiers, the easiest is the digital editions 4 through 6. Casey just asked us what that is to us. To us here is you're going to get a free redemption on Vivi for each of the issues as they release. We have a quarterly schedule of them. So Evermind number 4 comes out on Thursday. Shout out to all the fans of Evermind, especially one individual who is also a scientist who is Asian American and really believed and loved kind of Daniel's rendition and Sean's storytelling of Lucas Zhang, that he says, I am Lucas Zhang. And I think he bought like 3,000 copies of number 1. So shout out to that gentleman. Yeah.
Wait, did you say 3,000 copies?
3,000 copies of number 1. I mean,
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he was so inspired. He might be at the dinner on Friday that we're going to, but it's hilarious. So when we heard that, I was like, what? And so I went and I shipped him physical copies for being that supportive in that space. So yes, digital copies alive, and then you also get digital PDF downloads here. With the catch-up, for those of you who missed the first series, 1 through 6, definitely do this one because you want to read 1 through 3 before you get to 4 through 6. The digital deluxe catch-up edition, we have a lot of behind-the-scenes material from early outlines to thumbnails and sketches that Sean did that we're going to include in the deluxe version. Then we go to the physical tiers, which is the physical books themselves. The 6-issue physical book series. We still have some from the original print run. And then we have a ton of variant covers that we talked.
Is that a K-pop Demon Hunter variant?
Yes, that's one thing that you missed earlier. We had
holy shit.
Yes.
I love it.
Our executive editor, Terry Kavanaugh, he was here going through all the variant covers. But yes, how does that make you feel, Lo?
As a proud mom of a daughter who has watched that probably 50 million times, I love it.
Okay, wow, 50 million. So you would object to Netflix calling this their Frozen?
I know oh god, no, Frozen. Frozen was one of the ones that I had a hard time getting into, but Demon Hunters was actually super sick. I unwillingly, against my will, know all the lyrics.
Who doesn't now? Who doesn't now?
Mean, at this point, I mean, it's played everywhere. I was in like Eugene, Oregon, a couple months ago, and there was like an outdoor. Yeah.
I lived there for 4 years. I went to U of O.
You went to U of O. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's obviously my hometown college. So, love that. Nice. But so.
Oh, you're a Duck also?
Well, I didn't go to college, but yeah, that was the.
But you grew up in Eugene.
One. Grew up in Portland, Oregon, but Eugene, we have family in. I was there all the time. I was supposed to go to U of O, and then I was like, I'm going to be a content creator instead, Dad. My dad's like, oh.
Probably a smart decision.
Yeah. Smart decision. It paid off. But yeah, no, I can't even remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, we were at some random park and people were having a party and all they were doing was playing K-pop Demon Hunters. And I'm just like, it does not go away. Like no matter where I go, K-pop Demon Hunters is playing somewhere.
But that protects us from the demons. Come on.
It does. The whole yes, exactly.
So going back to the campaign, so this was a big reaction from both Michelle and Tiffany as well. It's I think it's gonna be a hit. So we also have Riccardo Federici, Italian, very famous artist that's in the space right now. I think He has 250,000 followers on Instagram. He is a DC exclusive artist. He was able to get excused from DC for this one. He has one of 3 per year that he used on us.
That's
So
a big
very
deal.
honored. Yeah, big deal. And we will have we also used it for a variant for Evermind 1/2. That's going to be exclusive at New York Comic Con. So for those of you who are watching, can you day one backers get those there in live? Yes. You know what? For Let's Do This, we will let you do it live at the BB booth. Just come find us. We'll say hi. Big supporter. Always has really cool videos on our releases as well. Howard Chaikin, good friend of Terry Kavanaugh as well. A American flag variant. Lots of fans for American flag.
I like the pinup.
Big time. Yeah, it's a great pinup, and Howard's great as well. Legendary writer, very controversial guy, but we love that here. And this one had great feedback. PJ Katakudan, he's a Filipino artist as well, a digital painter by trade, and had a kind of a poetic note on the way he approached it, which I think we all loved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Platt, I was saying,
I really like the gradient of this and the detail. It kind of gives James Stokoe vibes. I don't know if you guys know who James Stokoe is, but he's also really big on the line work and the detailing. So this is really cool.
Yeah, Stephen Platt, he is known for Moon Knight, Prophet. He is serious about details. And I think when you first came on the scene, people compare him a lot to kind of gritty McFarlane. And I feel like he's now evolved and a lot more refined for, working in the film industry for the last 20 years. Adam Davis, he is the co-creator of Excalibur, Uncanny X-Men. I think earlier, another thing you missed, Lo, was Sean sharing about how Alan Davis was one of his idols. And it was cool to see Alan. Sean literally had no notes. He was like, all right, no notes. Done. Like Alan's Alan. Because Alan was really good too, very professional, like sending us the sketch and the line work and asking for notes, but no notes. I think Alan is a legend. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, very honored to have him. And the different tiers, Andy, we'd love for you to chime in. We know this from Francis' research that people love virgin variants, meaning there's basically no title. No, none of that. So, Lo, you're in the comic shop world, so you probably
no trade dress, as they say.
Trade dress. Trade dress free.
Sorry, you said I'm in the comic world. What was your question?
Yeah, so you're familiar with like people's love for just seeing the art in itself without all the titles and prices.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, people love the not only like the exclusive covers, but the virgin variants. They also love the like the limited release prints and stuff like that. So yeah, anything that has to do with like a variant of some sort, I feel like that's such a big hit. I mean, we get more love for variants than we do for cover A's most of the time. So yeah,
that's what the shops are demanding. So this one is super cool. I'm excited for this because this is a Gen
girls.
Yep, we have like a gold foil. We have a pink diamond foil and a blue ocean foil. I think I could give you guys a little bit of a preview. I actually did like a test run on the sheets.
Oh wow!
Oh, cool.
What made you choose those colors? I'm just curious.
It's experimental. We wanted to do something different, and I feel like foils all kind of look the same, and so we wanted to do something that's more thematic. Because the trade dress would be cool for these, but even cooler if it was in theme with kind of like the whole metal side, which is why we offer the mecha metal covers as well. It's kind of a thing these days. Like, people want to have these like heavy metal covers and they get graded and they're like guaranteed 10/10s. And so I think, we want to, bring that kind of mecha feel, the cold mecha feel to the covers as well as an experience. Cover quality commission, original art, day one already sold out. So, for you guys who got it, congrats. Hopefully I could convince Sean to do more. And then the Neuralink.
A stretch goal.
Yeah, we have everything on the Neuralink side. And then we also have I Want Everything. So we sold one of these already, I believe. And it's basically everything included, I guess minus the original art. But
how many comics is that?
Oh my gosh, there's a good amount. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna guess it's like 24, I believe. Yeah, 24 books. So it's gonna be a big package. There we are, folks. We're landing the last 10 minutes of our launch party. Super appreciate everyone for being on, and
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Shit, I'm still posting the link. Wait, can we go another hour?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Andy, you're the last to join. Any questions? Any feedback for the book itself? You had a chance to do some early read.
Well, it might. Yes. It although this might cover pre-trodden ground, but I've been working for my anthology with other writers, other artists, but it's been interesting collaborating with an artist, both sort of making sure your vision gets in, but also being open to their, for them to add their special sauce. So I know I would like to, if Sean and Daniel could talk about their process collaborating, like, did they come together on script stage? Did they go back and forth? Like, what was that partnership like?
I came in a little bit later. Sean had already started. And I remember the feeling was like, I'm not sure what to say here because I don't want to, I've worked with lots of artists. I've managed artists, all that stuff. And I don't want to, although I'm a very creative person, I don't want to interrupt other people's creative processes. Right. And so I was very delicate about how I entered and the comments I made. But once we started talking about story and script and narrative and all that stuff, it just became really familiar to me because it's very similar to what I do in film and television, And so once we started talking and I realized Sean was on the same page, then it became really fluid. And again, like what we were saying earlier, is that, I was very relieved to see that we were starting from a character point of view. They were trying to figure out, who is this Dr. Zhang, right? What is he doing? And then this relationship with his daughter and making that the core of the story. Like the sci-fi is the packaging, right? And all the stuff that happens, the battles, the action, all that stuff is the packaging. But if you don't have a core, then it's just a hollow thing, right? And so we wanted to make sure that that was there. And I think Sean's elements, I mean, I was also pleasantly surprised that Sean had taken all these writing workshops, way more than I've ever done. And so he was very in tune to that idea of going with character first. And so that made it really, really easy. But again, yeah, I was nervous at first, and then it became really natural and smooth as we went on.
Nice.
How did you feel, Sean, about me
as for
piping
me,
in?
Well, I think that was a very important. That was an inflection point in the whole story because this is my first time with a writing gig, and then so Carl and I set out to create this IP for 24/7 Comics, and I knew that you're supposed to come up with a concept, and then you come up with a plot, and then once we did that, Carl said it's time to go start making it, and for some reason there was something really missing because there was a great concept and I thought we had a great plot, but then I just didn't feel like I had enough juice to last all the way to the end. And I think when you came in, that's when we had the idea of engaging character and theme. And I previously didn't know how important that was. I thought a story was basically plot and concept, but the way more important component was theme and character. And we were able to talk all that out. And then all of a sudden the story came to life in a big way. And it really took off from there. And I think a lot of the quality of the story really stems from that one inflection point because it was really headed towards the typical sci-fi guys type of story that would be on the shelf for a month and you kind of forget it. But I think what really made the idea of it reaching escape velocity was basically bringing in the character and theme components.
Yeah, no, I think having that father-daughter there is great because, as much fun as like robot gorillas and soldier mecha suits are, it can overwhelm you with the flash.
Can be much, yeah.
The human relationship. And I also like, there's that relationship with Armand Germain. Am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I love about that is he's the shitty dad to Lucas. Like he's the one who's like, Lucas, your concerns are dumb. Just keep doing your stuff. And Lucas is like, oh, he never listens to me. And then the daughter comes up, and he's like, daughter, Jan, you're stupid. Your concerns are silly. Let me do my work. And, he is doing to her exactly the same thing Armand is doing to him, which is a lovely little irony, I thought.
Yeah, we were able to sneak some generational trauma into the storyline.
Lovely. Did you have any experiences to tap into, or your families, I assume, were just great and everything was smooth?
Well, I was saying earlier that, the Dr. Zhang's kind of drive for success, that comes from somewhere, right? It comes from his dad, comes from all that. And I think, especially coming from first generation immigrant parents, like the push for you to succeed in America is huge. And whether it's subtle or very in your face, I think we've all experienced that. And so I think subconsciously that was just in the talks that me and Sean were talking about. I don't think we really had to like lay it. Oh, in my family it was like this, but we kind of knew it was in our sauce, there. And so when we started talking about those themes, it was really clear and we understood it.
Great.
Yeah. So that cultural element is there. It's not a nail on the head thing, but it's definitely there.
And Sean, you were saying you have a sort of background in architecture?
Industrial design mostly. It's a similar thing. Architecture mostly is with living spaces, but industrial design is like car styling and consumer products. So that gave me a big leg up in drawing all this robotic stuff. Actually, I'm more comfortable drawing man-made objects than people themselves. So drawing the people came afterwards. So it kind of makes sense that my first books at Marvel was Iron Man, and then I went from there to Wolverine. So as I got better and more comfortable drawing people, the characters they were giving me to draw were getting more and more naked. Until eventually I was drawing Elektra and then Spider-Man. So when they gave me Spider-Man, then I knew that I've gotten to a point where I can draw people fluid and organic enough that they just wouldn't put me on like a Transformers book all the time. But so yeah, it's been kind of a gift and a curse because it's something that I understand like how to draw. The problem is like you get pigeonholed and they give you that all the time and then you can't get out of it. And what's ironic is this story is our own creation, and then it has more robots and mechanical things than I've ever drawn before.
But did it sort of feel like coming home, kind of, or?
Well, I think there's a difference between understanding how to represent it in 2 dimensions and enjoying it. It's not something I particularly enjoy, but it's something I can wrap my head around and do pretty well. But you kind of have to, with your first book, I got to put out something that would resonate with people and what they want to see from me. So I kind of put my needs, push them down real far. Like if I wanted to make a different type of comic, I would make it and probably not really put it out there. But I'm trying to think like, what do people want to see from me? And I think I had to lean heavily into the technology stuff.
I mean, it is funny because you're bringing in like, gorillas and people. It's, I noticed there's a strive to sort of mix the two, which is even like a theme in the comic of like, where does the machine stop and the person start,
Yeah.
Love Evermind.
It's strange to draw robots, but then they're based on real living things. So they kind of look like people. So I guess it's kind of the best of both worlds. I think I wouldn't be able to draw a book like Transformers because they just are not connected to people at all.
Yeah.
These characters they're fun to draw, complicated but fun to draw.
Yeah. Well, the robot animals too, I'd like a shout out for, because there's something you got that way that animals move, and to see that in a robot, it's a weird uncanny valley thing that's very like makes you kind of nervous. Like, wait, why is that robot acting like an animal? That shouldn't be. Which I think purposely like creates a wonderful sense of unease with these creations.
Good point. I like that.
Yeah, good note. So with that said, I think we're at noon now, or 3 hours in, and it concludes our kickoff party. We have 29 more days to go. We are now at 5586. So thank you everyone who backed on the first day. So we still have half a day left for you guys, more than half a day, to help us hit our goal. And so we'll keep you guys updated on our social media. Lo, where can we find you on socials? And then we'll go to Andy, and then we'll kind of close out our party for the day.
I mainly thrive off of Instagram and Twitch, so you can see me right here, Los Ferexo. Find me there, Instagram, Twitch. I am currently trying to get through all of the Halloween cosplays that I am backed up on. I've got like 8 looks and no time at all to track it all down. So if you guys are into the cosplay stuff,
Anything K-poppy?
no.
I mean, that's a
thought-
bandwagon you maybe don't want to jump on.
Yeah, I love it. It's a big thing, but I've always been more of like a comic cosplayer or video games, stuff like that. So we'll see. Maybe in the future, if my kid can convince me enough, because my kid actually loves my cosplay stuff. She's 5, but she's always just like, "That's you, isn't it? I like that. You look really cool." So if maybe one day if she requests it, we'll do it. But
there's something special about the age where the kids think you're cool.
I know. I have another 2 years left, and then that's all gone. So
yeah, about 9 that disappears.
Yep, that sounds about right.
But they come back. I think sometimes they come back. My adult child is just like, I remember Comic-Cons. They were good. We should go back to those. This was after like 5 years of like, oh, Dad, no, don't drag me to the con.
Oh, that's gonna be such a fun stage. I can't wait to take her to a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun. No, you can take her now, can't you? I mean, it's too young, or
It's not that. I think it's more of, in Vegas, we don't really have a lot of good comic. We have like one tiny little small con, and that's basically it. Everything else you kind of have to travel for. And it's just, I'm sure you guys know, traveling with kids isn't always the easiest thing, because you got to plan around school, and you got to plan around obviously like your work and what you do. So just a lot of planning around traveling, but maybe one day we'll get there.
Great. Thank you, Lo. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Andy,
you.
Any last words in closing?
I forget if it was Francis or not, but someone referred to me as a expert on Kickstarter. I am an expert of 1 week. But yeah, it's been a fun week, and the campaign is at, oh my God, my room's so messy. Well, I'm in the middle of a Kickstarter, so forget it.
Understandable.
futurecomics.com, all one word.
Great.
Check us out. We got no foil covers yet, but who knows? We're going to do those stretch goals, but we just passed the halfway point yesterday, so we are on our way to making an anthology of dystopian sci-fi comics. It's been a crazy ride, but I'm so glad, because at the end I'm going to have an actual physical book I can hand to people.
Yeah, and last but not least, we'll definitely check out Andy's Kickstarter. We'll plug you in our updates.
Thank you.
Sean, we'll close out for the day, and then I'll play the trailer again, and then everyone please stay on so we could upload our recordings.
Yep.
So Sean?
Oh, yeah. So thanks for checking us out, and please give the Kickstarter a look. Just kind of peruse it and see if there's anything that strikes your fancy. Remember the day one thing, like if you're going to back it at all in the next month, do it today, because you get all that day one extra stuff. But thanks for supporting. This is something that a creator, when they get to the point where they kind of move through Marvel and DC, they kind of have to strike out on their own. And then we don't really know whether it's possible. So we really do rely on our connections with our books finding an audience. So hopefully if you support it and share it around and spread the word and everything, it'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for checking it out.
All right. Francis, why don't you close it, and then we'll have Daniel close us out, and then I'll play the trailer, and we'll all move to the private. But something's wrong with Daniel's audio for some reason. But Francis, you all kind of throw in the pitch for the Kickstarter itself as a campaign manager?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I want to reiterate what Sean said. Just keep in mind all of the amazing incentives we have, the specials we have on that first day one backing, and the giveaway, which you get double your ticket. So I know it's loud in here. I won't make you listen to the sounds of the cafe, but I'm very excited. We're last I checked, 72 people coming on board, and I hope it's much more.
Yeah, we're at 74 now. Daniel, you want to close this out?
Daniel?
Can you hear us, Daniel? I think he can't hear us, maybe.
My audio. Are you talking to me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
We
Can you
can
hear
hear
us?
you.
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't
Maybe.
think you hear us.
Want to hit him up
Yeah.
in the chat? Let him know we can hear him. So anything he says,
We could hear you.
Yeah. While we're waiting, if it's okay to jump in, I love the
Yeah,
big
please.
two. I love Image, but if you want more stuff and more sort of creator-driven stuff, Kickstarter and crowdfunding at Indie Comics is where it's at, but it will only exist if we support it.
Correct. I agree.
Facts.
That's a great
Yeah.
plug.
Yeah.
And yeah, support the workers at Kickstarter too. I think
Oh
they're
yeah.
on strike, and if you can, email their CEO. And I don't know what the dealings are right now, but I think they work really hard to support us campaigns, and so I'm sure they could use our support as well. Daniel, are you back? Can you hear us now? So we'll go to Daniel to kind of close us out with closing words. Okay, I think his audio is gone. Okay, so you'll hear from Daniel at the end of the trailer then. I will add that to stage and play it again. And, oops, actually remove this, add to stage. How did I do this? There we go. I'm going to play again, and I'll start moving everyone off stage from here. So everyone say bye, and I'm going to play the video.
Bye. Enjoy the trailer.
Bye. I don't know where the sound is.
But it was taken from me. The line between man and machine has faded. What was once an innovation is now a weapon, and I will turn it against them. Because my curse is theirs too. My invention is no longer about legacy. It's about her, about us. And our future is in our hands.
Hey everyone, Daniel Wu here. When Sean Chen and I first started Evermind, it was more than just a story about science and machines. It was about family, legacy, and what it means to stay human in a world that's changing faster than ever. Making this comic has reminded me why I fell in love with storytelling in the first place. And now we're finishing that journey, but we can't do it without you. Your pledge today powers the print run that gets Evermind into comic shops next year and keeps stories like this alive for future readers. Thank you for your support, and let's finish this together.